Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Here we go. You may be wondering about the title to begin with. When trauma-based mind control goes global, some people aren't going to like the title global. I understand that. There's elements in this community that don't like that. Regardless, with all kidding aside, we all know what we're going to talk about tonight. It's the number one subject out there. I've been making it a point over the last few shows, my What Happened shows, to not talk so much about it or just cover some of the weirder news, because there's always weirder angles on this associated with it. But you really can't escape it. Every day there's new news. It just keeps getting crazier. I have developed some fresh takes on this over the last few days myself, where I'm seeing some positive things that can come out of this. There's still going to be destruction and tears for some, but I still think there can be some good things that come out of all of this. By the way, I've got Jeff C with me now. Jeff C and I have been buds for many years, have had many epic shows together, and it's always good to get his perspective on things. Hardest working man on YouTube, most censored man on YouTube. I always cry about being censored myself sometimes, but and I've lost a channel and stuff like this, but nothing compared to Mr. Jeff C. So if you don't know about Jeff C, he's had many different channels: Free Radio Revolution, Lord Supreme Commander. That was one
Supreme
of my
Lord Commander?
Sorry, Supreme Lord Commander. You can name the rest. Just say hi to everybody, man.
Yeah, hi everyone. Great to be here. And my original channel was Free Radio Revolution, and there was a lot of those channels that all went down. Then my main channel after that was called New World Agenda, which is still the name of my channel on BitChute. And then I went to Fake News Report. All those channels were taken down, and now I'm Jeff Censored on YouTube, and knocking on wood, KJ.
Hey, I want to ask you a question about that. Have you noticed that you're getting? Do you feel like they've released the controls on YouTube over the last few days on your uploads, or no? Have you noticed anything?
I'm anticipating a massive purge because of the message that was sent out by YouTube a few days ago.
Yeah, that's a big one. And Will, before we get there, I'll just tell the people quickly. One more guy we're waiting on is Mike from On Point Preparedness. He's a busy man himself. He's got some little ones to look after. I'm not sure if he'll be able to make it, but we'll see. Hopefully he can. But if not, me and Jeff have got plenty to discuss, and it'll be great. Yeah, about the YouTube, the next level of the YouTube purge, this is absolutely sickening. But again, it's nothing surprising. I mean, I have such a love-hate relationship with YouTube to the extremes. I'm sure you can understand that.
Yeah.
I really hate what it's turned into and the people that are in charge. But I'm still grateful that I've had a life on this for a decade, and that I've reached people and we've created communities. And but go ahead, and if you want to tell them about this latest update because of the C virus, what YouTube's doing, go ahead.
Yeah. So people should be aware that there's a lot of very disturbing things going on with the narrative of the coronavirus. I call it the Kobe virus, and that the YouTube has announced a few days back. They announced on a community post that because of the said virus, they're asking all their employees to stay home. And since they are an extremely modern and the most powerful sort of video sharing platform in the world, naturally, it's impossible for their employees to do their work from their home computers, or at least that's what they would have us believe. So they said AI is going to take over, and that they expect there will be a lot more videos than normal being censored. And that because the AI is being implemented, there will be no human oversight. It's just very convenient, right? There'll be no human oversight on the censorship, so that if you do lose videos or you do lose your channel, you won't even be able to communicate with a human being, which in my experience, KJ, is an impossibility with YouTube. I've tried to call YouTube probably, 5 times, and all different locations. I've never gotten a human being. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have, here's the best way I've found is that you actually tweet them. And I've seen other people do this and get reactions. So all of 2019, my channel subs were stuck at 469,000.
That's right.
Right, the whole year. So I tweeted them about it about 6 months ago and asked if they could release it. And that day, they let me have 470,000, but they locked it again. right?
Oh man.
Yeah, they're playing games with us, dude. So I wrote them back a few months ago and asked again. I explained, you unlocked it, you gave me 470, thanks. But can I please have the actual count that matches what I see in my email all the time? Because I have an email link that shows me new subs, and every month I'm seeing thousands of new subs. But basically, what they're saying is since the beginning of 2019 to now, I just crossed 472,000. So I've gained about 3,000 subs. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's well. First and foremost, I'm sure most people probably know this, but our videos will never turn up in a search. That used to be different, like back in the old days, the good old days. You know, you remember back in 2013, 2014, when you could get viral videos, just not from your subs and everybody appreciating the work that you do and watching a lot of videos, or a lot of people tuning into a particular video that you would upload, but just from the normal people, because we could actually reach them. YouTube has completely restructured everything to bury anybody that does this type of work, so that when you go to search whatever topic it is, you're going to get ABC News, CNN, Fox. You're going to get all the accredited sources. And so I think we're going to see much worse dealing with this coronavirus, because they've already announced like that, and I've been doing a lot of work on this, that they've been saying for weeks, or actually they've been saying for I would say at least a month, that the infodemic is more dangerous than the pandemic. So they're saying the misinformation and disinformation that is circulating is a graver threat to, I don't know how, but to humanity than the actual pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look what is, and then, well, that's the other side of it. There's so many different angles on this, and then you've got some people keep pushing these frightening numbers of people dying, and that China now. Look, there's something happening in China. I was looking at earlier today. I'm thinking I was going to make a video called "Meanwhile in China," but China right now is being hit by massive gale force winds that are so strong they're ripping buildings apart. There's footage of this, guys. You can look it up. Fires, it's catching on fire. Of course, the Wuhan stuff, or the virus, but there's something else. Anyway, and they say this locust plague is heading towards China, right? So China is now, if you want to go like the spiritual or the more Christian kind of angle on this, I could see this as God's judgment on the communist regime, perhaps, and I could see other people may see that as well. Even with that angle, I guess I can get started early. There's also something I want to show you guys. I've got just one screen share I'm going to show you that's pretty interesting. But even on that angle, guys, kind of what's happening right now in the world with all this stuff, and it's happened so fast, hasn't it? It's crazy. I mean, I went out today. I wanted to just run down the road after I go to a gym right where I live. So I left the gym. Luckily, you can still go there, which is nice. And I drove down the road. I wanted to go to a little Mexican restaurant. They have like a $10 lunch special, which is perfect for us, check folks. So go there and it's shut down. And I'm like, oh, I forgot. And I start driving around and every place is shut. I called places. They're all shut down. I forgot. I didn't realize that here in the Midwest, they've shut all the bars and restaurants. They say gyms, but some of these things are still staying open, but it's all over the place. So I know everybody else is feeling it as well. But the point of the matter is this. I think of, as far as the Bible goes, I think of, look what happened to Egypt. Egypt were full on worshiping these fallen angels or false gods. Okay. So what happens? God brings the plagues. He brought them to their knees and he destroyed those false gods. So much so that when the Egyptians were leaving, right, after they had to leave, they were giving all their riches and wealth to the Hebrews at the time, but not just for the people, but for the Lord God, basically. So the point is, we know there's nothing new under the sun as far as the Bible tells us, Ecclesiastes. We are in one of those cycles again. So what I've been seeing is with this, yes, we're about to encounter a great shaking. Jeff and I are going to get into the different angles of what that may look like, of course. I see everything spiritually. You guys know me from a Christian point of view for the most part, minus the religion. But this is, I believe, also what we're seeing, the real separation of the wheat and the tares, or the sheep and the goats, if you will. This is going to test everybody's faith. the society, because of, you can say Soros, New World Order, Illuminati, everything else, but they've programmed so many people in our world and our society here to be little, like they call them, snowflakes and babies and safe zones and safe places. Well, all of those people are about to get crushed, and even worse than others. What's coming is going to be much harder for some than it will be for others. That's a fact. But all these New World Order plebes that are buying into this dumb SJW mind control, political corrects, all this stuff's about to get wrecked. It's going to be a lot of destruction. I think it's also going to be a lot of beautiful things. Bear with me. I pray about things a lot, and I pray a lot about what's going on with this. And what I've been feeling is, what I've been seeing is, what I feel like I've been hearing is, we're entering a time of miracles. You can make of that what you will, but I really think we may be in that time as well. We're going to start seeing more supernatural, even more gifts from the Holy Spirit. I know that's not necessarily your total realm with the religious or Christian stuff, Jeff. Not that you have anything against it. You're awesome.
No, of course not.
You're good with that, but I'm just throwing it out to the people that's on a spiritual tip. That is kind of what I've been seeing. But anyway, pulling away from that, go ahead, Jeff. Kind of what are some of the things you're feeling about this and about China? What's happening in China? Do you think they're telling us the truth about the numbers? What do you think, man?
I don't think they ever tell us the truth about anything. And I am beyond skeptical of the entire what I call operation. A lot of people are using the term plandemic. And this is because there is so much preparation that went into this, including, of course, Bill Gates and the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg Center of Eugenics, where they hosted a whole mock pandemic, but last October in New York City, in which a coronavirus ended up killing 33 million people in their assimilation. And everything that has happened thus far has followed the exact playbook that they put out on their website, which is readily available. Anybody that's listening to this right now, you could do a search on your browser for Event 201, and I highly encourage you to look through the entire thing. There are several videos. You see many of these characters that are involved in this operation right now, and you see how it mirrors exactly what's going on right now. It's very scary. I am extremely concerned. I have never, ever been so disturbed by what's going on. I see martial law every day coming forth, and it's incremental. It starts in China, and then people see China, and then they see, people being locked up and people being taken out of their homes and streets being sprayed everywhere. And then people are like, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. Next thing you know, it's Italy. And they're doing the exact same thing. Next thing you know, it's Spain. So it's moving, and now it's the United States, now it's Canada. The exact same things that happen in China are happening in Italy.
Yeah,
right? They have tanks on the streets. I don't know if people realize this. There are tanks on the streets of Italy. Now, what possible justification would you have for rolling out tanks in your city streets when you're supposedly fighting a contagion? What good would a tank do? Well, this is, to me, it's terror, and it's programming people. They're sending helicopters after people, like people that would go out on the beach, for instance. There's videos all over Twitter showing helicopters terrorizing people. Drones, the exact same thing that happened in China, where they're sending out drones to harass little old ladies who decide to go out and, maybe water their garden or something like that.
Lost you there. There you go, Jeff. Sorry. Yeah. You said they're sending out drones to harass, but go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So what we saw in China is playing out right now in Italy and Spain, and it's coming here. It is absolutely coming here. Now, to get even more disturbing, South Africa just passed legislation today. I put a video up on this in which they are going to incarcerate anyone who puts up any misinformation on the coronavirus.
Oh boy, who's going to determine what's the misinformation?
Well, that's it, right? And if you watch the Event 201, and I showed this on my videos, and people that are...
I'm glad you brought that up. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, people that are listening to me now, I took down all of my COVID or Kobe videos because I anticipate the censorship coming in. I didn't want to lose a channel again and again. It just keeps happening. So I put up a lot of them on BitChute. So if you do want to see some of them, you'll see them there, but at least some of them. But what we're seeing and what they said in Event 201 was they said, I showed this even in today's video that I uploaded on my channel, Jeff Censored. I showed how in Event 201, they actually said that they are going to take complete control of the internet and even shut down the internet to stop the flow of misinformation. So they were doing the simulation of a virus that kills 33 million people. I think everybody that's listening knows the significance of 33, and it's all over this event. Bill Gates himself, just do a search right now if you're skeptical, and put Bill Gates and put 33 million, and you'll see that Bill Gates had multiple times said that they predict 33 million to die from, and it's not a matter of if, but when. And then, of course, all the other there's so much to this. Like, well,
on that note, Jeff, quickly, I want to show you something talking about the 33. So I just did a video. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did a video showing everybody how many times 33 has been associated with this, and also just talking about the history of 33 and the magic behind it, because it really is a magic number, right? So check this out, guys. Let me show you this. This only one picture I wanted to show you. I'm going to share one screen. This story came out, I believe it was today. I'm just going to show you, and you tell me what you think. All right, there we go. You can probably see that.
Yeah.
So close-up photo of Trump's notes shows he crossed out Corona and replaced it with Chinese when they were talking about virus.
Yeah.
They show a better close-up later down. But look just above the notebook. What time is it?
11:33.
Bam. And, you know, guys, we know this is not a coincidence. You know, this doesn't happen by accident. Now, this is where it gets into that weird Q stuff. Now, here's the thing. I was never with Q. I'm still not with Q. I don't trust anonymous groups that are giving big-time information that affects people globally. It's just, I don't trust that. That being said, there's a lot of interesting theories kind of connected with this Q stuff, that Trump really is fighting the Illuminati. He's like the only one, and da-da-da. And there's Q is basically patriots, the white hats, they call them in the government, right? And, you know, so you see this. Now, I can see that. Look, I'm just playing, I don't want to say devil's advocate. I just look at different angles. It's the way I think. But here's another angle. What if these people, they would say, perhaps, Trump knows what's up. He sees all the 33. He knows they're signaling each other, and he's signaling them back by crossing out the Corona and putting Chinese and being defiant and putting what's interesting is there's three master numbers, 11, 22, and 33. So he made sure to put two master numbers there, right? The 11's a very powerful master number as well. So I put it to you guys. I don't know everything here, but I know this isn't a coincidence. What do you guys think? Jeff, what's your thoughts? Anything on that?
Yeah, I would not put any credibility behind Q whatsoever. I think that's all part of a massive psyop, a government psyop. Although they're going to give you some real stuff because they have to. It's just part of the game. This is just my opinion. I mean, people can be free to hopefully everybody makes their own opinion.
You know what, man? I actually reached out the last couple of days. I won't mention their names because they haven't contacted me back. But these are two people on YouTube that are really big into that Q stuff, and I'm really not, of course. And like I said, I've been following down that rabbit hole the last week or so, just curious because I never gave it a lot of credit.
Is it Jordan Sather, one of them?
No, it's not Jordan. It's a couple other guys. One of them. Lion is in his name. I don't know if you know who that is, but anyway, it's like there's smaller channels.
Lionel Media, is that the one?
Oh no, he's horrible. I wouldn't trust him. He's an agitator, man. He is definitely an agitator. He's one of the worst. But no, these are smaller, regular, independent people who follow stuff. And a couple of these guys I found on YouTube are been in this Q thing for years. So I asked them to come on and talk to me because I want someone to educate me on this and show me how you really think this is a thing and how you think it's really framing up. Well, these people, go ahead.
Yeah. What I would say is that I've been, I'm doing media manipulation is my specialty, and I believe that Q, Cicada, all these operations, most of them are from the Trump administration. Pizzagate was another one. And they give you some truths for sure. There are definitely some very intriguing sort of things. And of course, Trump has signals, there'll be a Q in the background or a white rabbit or something like that. And then you'll be able to throw it out and say, see, we told you, But it's used by the corporate media, the Disney media, the left-right fake paradigm media, Fox News and CNN and New York Times and Washington Post and all the horrible New World Order media, just like Pizzagate and like Flat Earth and many of these other things, it's used to make ridicule of conspiracies. And it's ridicule. Don't take any of the conspiracies revolving around coronavirus, for instance, seriously, because it's coming from the same people. So I mentioned Jordan Sather before, and Jordan Sather has been connected by saying, he's recommending people drink bleach as an example to avoid the contagion itself. Yeah. Okay. So they use those clips all the time. And I believe like a character like Jordan Sather is purely an actor who's playing a role. And I do not trust those people whatsoever. And I think it's very sophisticated what's going on, because I do think that there's a fear that right now, and I think this is why there's going to be a massive crackdown, and you're going to see, I don't know if people understand what's going on, but freedom of speech is being wiped out and martial law is being implemented. And it's like it's the boiling frog thing where they're turning up the temperature right now. They're getting you used to it. They're getting you used to these things by, incrementally taking away your freedoms. So right now it's like you can't even, most people can't go to work. Most stores are closed. Most people are told to stay home. Old people are not even allowed to leave their homes, or they're told they shouldn't leave their homes. Okay, so people will say, okay, that's not so bad. Then the next day they'll tell you can't even step out of your home, sort of thing, right? And then the next day after that, you're going to have to drive through one of these drive-throughs where they have people in hazmat suits that are going to stick prods up your nose and down your throat to collect your DNA and whatever else. Right. And then, you're going to see, if it plays out like it is in Italy, people need to understand this. In Italy today, there are tanks on the streets. They're using helicopters to chase people down. And how far away are we from that? Maybe a week or two, really, because they show you that stuff there. And then they tell you, well, it's all because this terrible contagion is killing all these people. How many people are really dying? And how do we know at the end of the day that this coronavirus is what they say it is? How do we know that these people, and they said, I caught a stat that came out that said 90% of the people that allegedly died in Italy have died of other complications too. So it's like, when elderly people get pneumonia or something, right? And their immune systems are pretty much wrecked at that point, and it kills them, right? How do we know that they're not fudging the stats by having this? And coronavirus, if people don't know this, coronavirus, and it's called a coronavirus because of the sort of ring, the crown around the sun. It's a very symbolic sort of thing, and it's been around for a long time. But these types of viruses are commonplace amongst old age homes. Like there's a certain percentage of old age people that will die in hospitals and in old age homes from coronaviruses. So they could claim. And we look at the numbers globally, right? It's not even what are the latest numbers for the amount dead in the world? It's not even like 10,000 people, and we're talking a planet of 8 billion or whatever, right? And it's like everything is being shut down. Where they're imposing martial law, they're destroying the economy. Look at the economy; it's tanked. The everybody stocks people's pensions. It is a horrible situation. In my opinion, they're crashing the economy. They're using this to crash the economy to bring in their solutions, which is going to be, the Phoenix digital currency and stuff like that, right? Like they want to implement the biometric ID system. All these things they want to bring in.
Yeah, yep. Have you seen bank runs in Canada, or is that an issue for y'all yet?
Oh yeah, they're not even letting people, they're shutting down. They keep shutting down the Toronto Stock Exchange, just like they keep shutting down Wall Street, right? Right. So because people are panicking, and then people are saying, they want to cash out while they still have something in their accounts, but they're saying no, you can't do that because then the whole thing will collapse, sort of thing. So I think that what we have here is they're turning up the temperature, and they're getting people used to what's going on, and then they're amping it up. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'm totally with you on that. Like, however this turns out, whatever this turns out to be, again, I'm open to possibility. What if they battle it and they come out of it in a few months or 6 months or whatever? But even that timeline keeps extending. Today, I'm hearing up to 2 years.
Yes.
So, guys, they're moving the goalposts, okay? And And or what's the government in America going to give us $1,000 a month for 2 years? I mean,
and what are you going to have to do for that?
Right? Yeah. What do you? Right? You need to get them vaccines so you can come in and
I don't know if you know this, KJ, but the airlines are saying they're not going to allow anyone to fly without their vaccines.
I know that, and I'm so bummed because I've got a passport and I've got a lot of stamps on it. When I was down in Central America, I traveled to all those countries, and man, again, I know that everything works out the way it's supposed to, but even since I came back 4 years ago because of the accident, I haven't wanted to stay in America this whole time, guys, but I did because I got family here, and you're trying to be a good son, and I can't take that back, and I have no resentment towards that. But if I didn't have responsibilities in America, I would so not be here, man. I mean, not that other places won't be affected, but I'm telling you, one of the last to be affected will be Central and South America. I guarantee you that. It's a whole other world out there. It's jungle. They don't have the technology built in that the rest of the beast system has. You can get away with a lot more. But hey.
I remember when you used to feed the monkeys in your backyard. I was just like, wow.
Oh man, I know, man. I could tell you stories. I'll tell you a story. I had a girlfriend the whole time I was there, Adriana, and and it was so cheap there. I lived in 3 different places. The last place I lived, I'm not bragging, folks, just telling you how cheap it is in Costa Rica. I had a 2-story house with 3 bedrooms, jacuzzi in the backyard, private fence, guard dog that ran the premises just in case, and monkeys naturally in the trees in the back. And me and my lady I was with for so long would take those water guns, the real big ones you pump with water. We'd hang out in the jacuzzi and shoot monkeys all day. And she would drink wine, and I always partook in the herb, of course. But that was kind of my life, and it was great. And of course, it all had to end tragically. I had an accident, but you know what, man? Again, even with that, even when I was leaving, I was just very grateful. I was like, you know what? I led 2.5 years here of a life that was just, and I got to, create my work even more, grow as an artist, if you will, and what I do with it, being a creator. And it was beautiful, man. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I'm here now in the muck with the rest of you. We're all stuck in it together. So, we'll make the best of it. We'll do more shows. How's that?
Yeah, exactly. You got to always look at the bright side of life, regardless of your situation. And part of everything that's going on, I believe that we're being massively gaslit by the NWO. Like, they have been terrorizing, and a lot of people don't realize this. As you watch Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, you watch the Madonna videos or whatever, all the satanic videos that YouTube puts on trending. You see Sodom and Gomorrah all around you, the drag kids, like they have been twisting and turning and, just turning everything inside out, purposely leading up to where we are right now. And you can see it all around you, right? I mean, it's like the Pride festivals, the unending, the programming of the youth, as you mentioned before. There's a total disconnect. I mean, the other day I was noticing how one of the things that was trending was that the youth were saying boomers need to die, sort of thing, right? Like they're programming people to hate each other. Of course, men versus women, toxic masculinity, Me Too, Time's Up. These are all their psyops. They've also been doing that massive countdown, which I've been showing a lot, with all the symbolism, whether it's the doomsday clock or it's Time's Up or TikTok or
right.
Yeah. And I believe that it's all about this. Like, I believe that they have been counting down this, and they have set this up. There is more predictive programming for this event than I've ever seen. You put all the other things that we have covered and talked about, whether it's 9/11 or school shootings or whatever, right? Things you're not allowed to talk about these days. I have never seen the type of predictive programming that is associated with this event. And how much of it is. It's just like Tom Hanks, for instance. I mean, it's out of this world. I mean, you could wake people up with just Tom Hanks. We showed last night. I was doing a show with TMF, right? And we showed last night. Yeah.
I got to ask, when did you guys start doing shows again? I haven't heard from him in forever.
Oh, he's TM Films. He's been he's been doing great work, and we've been working together for at least a year or so. I mean, just off and on, we talk regularly, and we've been having a lot of discussions. Very, very concerned about what's going on. But what we showed on my show last night was Tom Hanks. Of course, Tom Hanks starred in the movie Inferno, which was about a group of people who wanted to depopulate the planet by unleashing a plague, a bioweapon, in which they wipe out half the population. So Tom Hanks, the other day on his Instagram, and people can search this. I mean, don't take my word for it. You're listening to this right now. Open another window and look Tom Hanks' Instagram. And you'll see his latest Instagram post where he's showing that he actually brought a Corona typewriter with him down under.
Right. Okay. Now, let me throw this in now. All right, guys. So I told you I've been looking into the so-called Q rabbit hole thing for the last week. Of course, I'm not going to fall into it. I just don't trust it. But like Jeff said earlier, I mean, people wouldn't follow this stuff if there was no truth in it. There is some true stuff in there. I mean, that, like with anything else, and we have to use all of our facilities, right? Our logic, reason, common sense, critical thinking, a spiritual discernment as well, and determine what is real with everything, right? So there is some real stuff in there with that. But they've been talking a lot about this Tom Hanks stuff. Now, the Tom Hanks thing, I'm going to let Jeff run with it because he's got a lot of info on it, but it's very interesting. And it looks like now this ties it. The Q people are saying this, that the white hats are starting to arrest these Hollywood pedophiles and stuff like this. And I will say, and I've covered it in my What Happened shows, guys, for the last 3 years under Trump. Okay, I'm just saying we have seen a massive amount of these child sex rings and massive rings around the world being shut down. Epstein, big names getting shut down, right? This is a big deal, and that's a good thing, regardless of, even if it's a nefarious plot at the end of it all, whatever. I'm glad to see justice prevail at times. Okay, it's good to see that people get free. So we're seeing all this now. Even in fact, you got to be careful because there's a lot of lies and deception. Yesterday, over the last 48 hours, this rumor started online. I check all these different random conspiracy boards, and they started saying that Oprah Winfrey's home was being right. I don't know if you saw that. They were at her home and they were digging in the ground, and so a lot of this is BS. But aside from that, then you'll find this Hank stuff again. Jeff will explain some where there's so many. Like, what do we follow? The signs and the symbols, right?
Would you be able to? I sent you a link. We could show this to folks. Just his Instagram post here with the Corona typewriter, because I think it would.
Let me see.
Show.
Did you send it on
the private chat here on the side?
Yeah. Cool.
If you want to show folks that, and this is like this is the way that they roll. I would say this is what I would say. Forget about the whole Q thing, because that's just another big mess that we'll give you some truths and a lot of garbage. But I would say just follow the information dealing with this. And it's a lot of honest people that have been exposing this. Now, you see up here, right? He's saying he coincidentally brought a Corona typewriter with him.
Come on, guys.
Come on. Down under. And don't forget, he thanked all the people down under. And if you think down under, Inferno, right? He's playing a guy in a movie in which they're trying to kill half the population of the world.
Well, and Trump just tweeted, "We're fighting a quote invisible enemy." Again, this is more of this code stuff. I've also noticed another code they keep coming out with. We're all in this together. It's one of those things where you see media keep saying that. Just a little while ago, before the show started, on the commercial pops up. It's Ivanka Trump telling us that we're all in this together, right? So I mean, guys, like there's a lot of communication taking place down there right now. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Are there any good guys? Are there any? We're watching it play out, right? But there is definitely. Go ahead. And what about Chet? But continue with the rest and tell him. About
just
Chet.
look at this post though. I want you to take a look at it. All right, where he's saying, "Hey folks, good news. 1 week after testing positive, self-isolation. The symptoms are much the same. No fever, the blahs, folding the laundry, doing dishes." Leads to a nap on the couch. Bad news, my wife at Rita Wilson has won 6 straight hands of gin runny and leads by 201 points. Now, what was I talking about before, which was the whole plan for this Corona? It was Event 201. Now, KJ, I just put the link there for
Let me get it.
Yeah, it's right there, Event 201.
Okay.
This is everybody on planet Earth should see this and send it out to everyone that is out there so that everybody knows that this was the whole plan that they did back in October, where they had a coronavirus and they anticipated 33 million people dying around the world. So it's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with the John Hopkins Center for Health Security and the World Economic Forum.
Oh yeah, they're they're right there with the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, more of these globalist groups, obviously.
So in this, you can see they have a bunch of videos that everyone should watch, in which they have the whole thing played out, and they have fake media people. They have people playing reporters and news anchors. They have so-called experts and doctors and virologists and all these things, and they're saying what they have to do. We need the private and the government and private corporations to all work together. All the control has to come from the WHO itself, the top of the pyramid, basically. And they say in the fourth one, in the segment 4, which you're just scrolling by there, communications discussion epilogue video, they have the whole thing play out, in which they have the media saying that the biggest threat to the world is the disinformation and misinformation. And they actually say in that video, with fake news anchors, fake CNN and all that, they say we're going to shut down the internet to take control of everything. People need to know this. This is vital information, because everything that is happening right now is playing out exactly as they did. And the whole corona thing started like 3 weeks after this.
Yeah.
What are the chances? I want to ask you, KJ, what are the chances that there is the exact same scenario playing out just weeks after they have a massive conference featuring all these globalist agencies coming together, playing out an actual pandemic? And then if you go back and you look at the Tom Hanks, they code everything, and he's saying 201 points. Of course, you know how it works, right? When you're dealing with the numbers, you always drop the zero. You drop the zero, right? Because you see here, event 2, world 1. It's really event 21, which of course is agenda 21.
Right.
And agenda 21 is all about the New World Order, depopulation, taking control of the world, moving everybody away from coastal areas and forests and mountains, sticking everybody in major cities, elimination of private property, right? Everybody on a World Food Bank that controls the distribution of all food, taking people's freedoms away. Nobody can have cars or anything. Everybody has to drive electric cycles and stuff like that. And it's a one world currency and everything like that. So everything that's happening out of this event is setting the table for Agenda 21. So I believe what we have here is clear evidence that all of what's transpiring has been planned out. That doesn't, I'm not saying that there isn't something and that people shouldn't take precautions. I want to make that clear, because there is a chance that they did release a bioweapon. But I'm saying that what I see and what I'm terrified of is the police state, the martial law, the destruction of freedom of speech, all these things that they're bringing in under this. And what Really Graceful, shout out to Really Graceful, she just did a video on this where they just reinstated the Patriot Act, and they're passing through this Earn It Act, which would give the government this. Nobody's paying attention to this because everybody's scared of the pandemic. The Earn It Act would give the government the power to break any encryption between Americans. So any message.
Oh boy. Well, I didn't know about that. Now, the Patriot Act is another one that folks, y'all should look into this. If you didn't know about the Patriot Act, 9-1. That's why I've said in recent videos and shows that this, in a lot of ways, is the new 911. I'm still waiting on a bigger event like real destruction. But this is, in its own way, kind of another lesser 911, if you will, because of all the methods of control they can put in place now because of it. That's why 911 created a whole system. I mentioned this the other night. There's a whole generation of people who've grown up now in a reality where every time they go to the airport, grown people are putting their hands all over them, on their no-nos and their nee-nees, and this has become normal for some people. They've already been indoctrinated into this kind of system, right? To allow government officials to put their hands on them. It's unbelievable. So this is another example where they can do more of that. They can start putting more controls on us. And it is just, the potential for full-on chaos is there, guys. We get this. It is. And, of course, I always go back to the side of being prayerful and having faith and whatnot. But that doesn't mean sitting on our butts and saying God's going to take care of everything. I'm just going to pray it off. No, doesn't work that way. Not these days. Like, we got to put our faith into action. We've got to stand up and just be ready. We got to be ready. I don't know what kind of fight you're going to have to get into, but this is a test, right?
Well, you think about it, because we take it for granted. We have the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the amendments, right? And we think, well, that's going to protect us. But all that goes out the window as soon as there's the big P, right? All this, oh, well, that's nice stuff. But guess what? We've got a pandemic. Guess what? We've canceled freedom of speech. We've your rights no longer, you have them, because the state now can sequester you in your home, can arrest you, right? Here in Canada, people have to know this too. In Canada, the government is talking about passing the Emergencies Act, which would be martial law, essentially. They would give the Prime Minister and the government of Canada the power to impose martial law. They're saying that they're going to invoke this. I showed this in a video the other day. So like, it's very scary, because how many things can they carry out if they shut down the internet, right? Like, say they just delete, like, say YouTube, they delete thousands of channels just like that, right? Including yours and mine. God forbid. I mean, I'm knocking on wood. I don't want anything to happen. But all of a sudden, because of, oh my gosh, because somebody like Jordan Sather said, drink bleach, right? We can't have anybody questioning anything, any of the official narrative. And it's all coming from the top of the pyramid, everything. So the test kits are all coming from the WHO, like everything, that it's all the centralized control system. And I sent you another link there, which you could show, which just talks about Bill Gates predicting 33 million dead, right?
That was the first clip I used in my video to show people, before I showed them like the 20 examples of 33 connected with this story, of course. And then the most recent, well, in fact, since putting that video up, it's been a couple days, I've had probably about at least half a dozen off the top of my head that I've seen people links of news stories over the last 2 days connecting the C virus with number 33. I mean, again, guys, we know this. It's not a coincidence.
There's probably hundreds of articles. TMF did a video on it. It was really excellent, showing all the 33 connections, all the articles and all the stories all around the world with the 33 code. I just sent you this link. I would really like you to show your audience this Madonna Eurovision from 2019. You just have to show the web page here with the image, and you'll see. Yeah, show this, because it's really disturbing. Where she sang about not all of us are going to the future, and just if you show what's on the screen, it's self-explanatory. And guys, let me throw this out. I did a video called What Eurovision 2019 Was Secretly Telling Us. I completely broke down that entire show. In fact, that Madonna scene at the end where it's nuclear holocaust behind her, I've shown you guys that forever, man. That's stuff this is what they want. They want the phoenix to rise from the ashes. Yes. The New World Order, right? They want the destruction of nuclear warfare. So, and that's just one example. Remember Conchita Wurst, the trans performer from 5 years ago, right? She performed in front of a massive phoenix on fire. I mean, that's what it is. It goes back to the whole how we're literally seeing Baphomet manifest before our very eyes. Let me see if I can. Yeah, if this brings Eurovision up. Madonna and guys. She showed the sheep dying, the sacrifice of the Christians. There you go. The biohazard masks at the very end of it. Look it up, guys. If you haven't seen my video, please look up what Eurovision, EURO Vision 2019 secretly told us. And I broke it down, man, head to toe, beginning to end. This is when you see, now this is lesser magic, I call it. Other people call it other things, but this is how the occult, these theosophists, these Luciferians work, that they have to show you before they do it. So we're all included in the spell without understanding. What's beautiful is there's been a massive awakening over the last decade. I'm grateful I've been able to be a part of that, and I've seen so many others as well doing it. We've been showing you guys this as well, that this is what they want, okay, and they're putting it out all the time. It's an anti-human agenda, and it goes back to the Georgia Guidestones as well. Maintain humanity under a certain 500 million or something. 500 million, yeah. Right. So this is what they want, guys. That's why I call it Luciferian. All right, it is the end of humanity. It's also the perversion of humanity. That's where the trans stuff comes in, and the library tranny shows and stuff, guys. It's ridiculous. It's everything's being inverted. and it's all in her face. Did you see that article that I sent you? Because you should really show that,
Let
because
me see. Was it the Bill Gates one?
no, it's the one below that. It's
Oh,
the
here's a new one.
qz.com. If you could share that, it just shows that last year when they had their Eurovision, that they're all wearing gas masks, and Madonna's wearing the Saturn
shoot.
X.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I thought I was showing it. My bad.
I was like,
Guys, my mistake. Here we go. The whole time I thought I was showing it. Now do you see it, guys?
yeah, now I can see it. You got to maybe pull it up a little
Pull it
bit
down,
so
sound,
that the
sound.
image
There
shows.
we go. My apologies, guys. Thank you, Jeff. I'm glad you
No
pointed.
problem.
Feel free to jump in and let me know, because sometimes StreamYard messes me up. Still a great system, right? But anyway,
So
there you go, guys.
there they are singing, and she's singing, not all of us are going to the future. And all the people are wearing gas masks, and they've been doing this for the last couple of years. Like I showed BTS a few months ago, they were #1 on trending, and they had all these kids wearing gas masks, right? Like, it's all this predictive programming setting the table for what they were bringing in.
BTS, is that K-pop?
Yeah. Oh,
man,
gosh,
that
yes.
K-pop, man, guys, if you want to see a good example of just how evil this system is, look up K-pop and look how it comes to you as like, well, all the boys look like girls, but it's just very on the surface, very soft and innocent, but it is the most demonic, evil, degenerate stuff you've seen. Am I wrong?
Oh no, absolutely right.
All agenda driven, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just little boys with makeup, and you know, and they can dance nice, but it's filled with the symbolism we're always pointing out. But yeah, guys, my apologies again. Like, the whole time I thought you saw this image, but this is what it was. Look up the Eurovision, what Eurovision 2019 was secretly telling us, and this is what they do. They show us their plans ahead of time, right?
Yes, and they because like part of what predictive programming is getting you to accept something when it happens, right? It's like, once your brain has accepted it as a possibility, then when it happens, you're far more inclined to be like, oh yeah, I kind of figured that might happen. Something 9/11 being an excellent example of that.
That's a good one, yeah. Like, it's already in their subconscious mind. So when it happens, they kind of accept it. It's like, whoa, they're you're right. Like, it's predictive program engineering as well. It's imprinting. This is why they call it programs, right? We're being programmed by
that's the reality, is we're being programmed, and they've been doing this forever. And as you said, like in the background of the at the end of the Eurovision, they depicted all the Agenda 21 and the cities just in ruins, and the trees and the wildlife retaking the cities, which is what they show Last of Us and all, Walking Dead, whatever it is, right? Like, they're always showing us Agenda 21, right? Where there's a mass depopulation of the planet, and that the nature reclaims the planet, sort of thing. Of course, it's not really nature necessarily that's going to reclaim the planet. It's the New World Order. But there's another example, Corona Corpse, Generation Zebulon, which is a sci-fi movie that came out in 2018, in which the children of the future learn about what happened, the fate of their parents, because there's no old people left on the planet. And so,
interesting.
Yeah, and
that's like Logan's Run. Maybe they are setting us up for that's in Italy they're already denying health care to the elderly. So this could be, and of course we know that's part of eugenics and part of the New World Order agenda. So this falls in perfectly. And Logan's Run, that's one of the first really sci-fi dystopian movies I saw as a child. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and it was even old at that time, I think. But that really screwed me up. But as I get older, I always watched it anytime it was on TV. And now that I'm awake to this stuff, I realize over the last 12 years what it really means. But, in that society, it takes place in the future, that when you hit the age of 30, everybody has this jewel or this gem embedded in their palm, a chip, basically. When you turn 30, the light comes on. That means you have to sacrifice yourself for the greater good, because they believe it's only the young people that really need to be leading, right? Fresh ideas. Go ahead.
Did you see the movie Midsummer?
Man, that's another one. Yeah,
Mm.
what did you think? What are your thoughts on that, man? That
Well,
was well, it's another one of those where it's just kind of indoctrinating subconsciously everybody into the new age pagan, ultimately Luciferian New World Order, I believe. But what are your thoughts on
yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. 100%. Ari Aster and all the characters at 824. Not sure the tribe, but the same people that make these Corona Corps type movies. And in Midsummer, they depict the pagan sort of ritual of killing off the elderly. So the elderly are forced to sacrifice themselves in a brutal sort of ceremony in which they, and this is true. I mean, this is not make believe sort of thing. They actually took some real sort of pagan sort of rituals that Scandinavian peoples did. But you see, like movies like that come out, and it also has the heavy feminist, and they burn the Christian, right? The actual character named
Yep,
Christian is put in a bear suit, and he's burned by his girlfriend. Basically,
yep.
she chooses to burn him alive, sort of thing. And you see the feminist angle being played massively, this divide and conquer. But yeah, all these films are much, much more than they appear. They're not entertainment. You make a mistake of thinking that you go to the movies. It's like Disney. It's not entertainment. It's programming, and it's occultic magic. It's their black magic, and it's in all their films. And Madonna also had a Corona typewriter. I mean,
You see it?
yeah, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Well, they both Tom Hanks. I just want folks to think about this. Both Tom Hanks and Madonna travel around the world with Corona typewriters just because they like them. I mean, that's how. It's just amazing that anybody would.
Right. And whenever we first found out about Tom Hanks and his wife with Corona, who told us their, cheeseball son, Chet, who makes sure he does it on
Yeah.
Instagram without a freaking shirt on. And I showed the people a month ago. I was like, look at this guy's new tattoo. We talked about it a month ago. Now here it is, like 15, 20 million views that thing's had now, because that kid is putting that symbol into everybody's mind, and he's associating it with this C virus. So then we put that with the 33s. So guys, again, we know it's not telling us where it's all going to go, but it's showing us that this is a coordinated effort, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And again, and I'll say this. I mean, I can go on all night with the predictive programming. I'm most terrified about the Orwellian sort of martial law and complete takeover of and destruction of freedom of speech, and Orwellian sort of spy system that they're establishing, than I am of any sort of virus, right? Like I think it's all a scapegoat for bringing in all the things that they're trying to do. And we're thinking that they're doing the whole show, like they're very bold about this, where they're we can do this now, we can. And they had a signal that we showed last night, which was the guy that was I can't remember his name. He's the Indian guy for the British government who showed the budget, and he had a red briefcase, and then he walked by a car.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
saw that, right? Yeah, I put that on my show as well. What do you think
Yeah.
about that? In fact, let's guys, if you didn't see through Jeff or through me or whatever, man, there's it was from, I saw it on Sky News, and yeah, they were talking about the coronavirus and even mentioning global warming and the climate agenda. A man comes out with a red folder, walks past a car, cameras following him. On the other side of the car, folder turns green. Jeff, go ahead. What do you think about that?
Yeah. And shout out to Tara, who just said Tom Hanks is in a military facility. This was determined. It was sent to me on Twitter, by the way, where somebody saw the barcode on the door where
Yep.
he was taking the photo, and he's actually, they can prove that he's in a military compound. But yeah, I believe that was the signal for the go. That's how they signaled it, that this is a go. This whole thing, they had a point where, okay, we're going to call it off if things aren't progressing the way that we want. But that was a big display to the Illuminati, or whatever you want to say, right? The secret societies, that yes, this whole thing is on. We're going to do it. And so here we are, and we're seeing it's very, very scary how this whole thing is unfolding, because we're just seeing our rights being destroyed just like that. Like that's the thing. I mean, if they come in, they declare martial law, and you're going to see this. I don't want it to happen. I'm knocking on wood like crazy, folks, but it's already happened in China. It's already happened in Italy. It's happening in Spain right now. It's just a matter of time, the way it's all unfolding. And I'm shocked by the images. I have a few people that are sending me information in Spain, and they're sending me photos that they're taking of tanks in the streets.
Really?
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
I've been seeing that here in America. We've got some people sending videos and pictures out like that as well. In fact, I'm kind of trying to make a little folder right now. And if anybody out there is listening right now, anywhere in America or Canada, and you guys are experiencing them starting to put this into place, because that's the thing, man. They've been training for this. This goes back to the Patriot Act. You can go back to that, look up even like 10 years ago, they were doing drills in America with government, with like, what do they call it, National Guard. And they would have National Guard members standing in, of course, as like the victims or whatever, but they're all holding up signs like, we're hungry, we need food, where's the water? So the point is, they've been training for this for many, many years. That's why I asked people the other night, if you know of any connection to this stuff in Jade Helm, please
Jade
send it to
Helm,
me.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
Go ahead,
exactly.
please. What do you know about that? I've been
Well,
curious
that's
about
it.
that.
Like, okay, so I did send you a link from my Twitter, and you can see
me
the
get it.
tanks on the street. So you just scroll down a little bit, and you'd see I tweeted that out,
Okay.
which is very disturbing. And there's much work. There's all kinds of things going on. But yeah, Jade Helm, and they had Maple Resolve. So these things happen at the same time in the United States and in Canada. All right. And you had these massive drills that happen in a whole bunch of different states in the United States and several provinces in Canada, where the military, you scroll down a little bit.
You like that movie, by the way? Is that why you put that up there? I love that movie.
Oh, The Seven Samurai?
Yeah.
It's like probably my favorite movie of all
Are
time.
you serious? Man,
Yeah.
they showed us to that in film school. I'd never seen it, and I just
It's
fell in love
so
with
good.
Kurosawa. Yeah, he was
It's just
wonderful.
it's wonderful.
Okay,
But
where
yeah,
are we going?
just a little bit more down.
Okay.
That's Grace's video that she put. There it is.
Oh, cool. Oh, by the way, hi, Grace. That's
Yeah, she's
really
in the chat.
graceful. Thank you for being here. I was telling Jeff, I feel bad. I'm a patron to so many people, but I did put $1 on there. It's like 2 years ago. I promise, guys. I know I don't have to, but I want to do more, especially with the times we're in now. I really want to show more support to all these. I'm like 30 people I support, but it's not much. I need to do more. But anyway, thank you for being here, Grace. You're great, guys. If you don't know, really graceful YouTube channel, please go check her out. She's a really smart woman right there. All right, more here.
Yeah, these are images from today in Italy there of the tanks on the streets. Now, you just think about it, folks. Come on, a virus? Why on earth would you be using tanks?
Right. Yeah, guys, there we go. Anything else you want me to show them?
No,
right here?
That was just it, basically. Maybe click on that post. You'll see the image a little bit bigger to get an
wow, there we go. Okay, that's a little more. You know what? I bet you the people right now. Yeah, I bet you guys can go online and you can find, I bet, fresh images coming out right now. That's even worse.
There's videos, lots of videos of helicopters terrorizing people, like people walking on the beach and helicopters coming after them. There's all kinds of videos of drones going after people, just like in China, and they're doing the massive spraying. So like all of this, what we're seeing, and I've been warning people for the last couple months that have been on this, is that it's gonna come here. Like it's everything that you see, they're showing you the stuff that's happening in China, and then in South Korea, and then in Italy and Spain, so that when it happens here, you've already accepted it because you've already seen it happen. And otherwise, people would freak out because people would say, "Oh my God, they just declared martial law." But everyone's going to say, "Oh yeah, but it's okay because they did the same thing in South Korea and Italy, and it's all to contain the virus." And it's like, once they declare martial law, folks, what's the how do you know you're going to?
Yeah, your constitution's gone, guys. That's what people don't know. A lot of, man, this community's smart. Your group's smart too. Most of y'all know, but yeah, if they do martial law, your constitutional rights are bye-bye. Nothing. I mean, that's when you start getting into skirmishes. That's when you get into people not wanting to go in to their home at 5 o'clock in the evening and things like this. And you're going to start getting some problems because, especially here in America, man, I mean, it's that rugged individualism, which I love. I do love that about America. But a lot of us have that. A lot of us have guns, and that's where. And you know what? It's if it happens, people shouldn't be surprised because it really is all a part of the plan. And that's what's going to have to fall into place eventually. I mean, if we continue on this path, because we're not going to want to go get forced vaccines. That's what I always think about. That's ultimately where the worst case scenario, guys, can be with this. We know this is forced vaccines. And what's his Bill Gates, I just saw this the last couple days, is talking about these tattoos, which I talked about 5-6 years ago, where Dina Dugan used to be with DARPA. DARPA's connected with all this crap now too. She became a Google CEO talking about, hey guys, we're going to make tattoos for you where you can take a pill in your mouth, get authenticated to the internet, and like do your internet with your hands and all this really cool stuff. Superpowers. And this goes back to that programming, I believe, of all these movies and TV shows about people having superpowers and how cool it is, because that's ultimately going to be the selling point. And as many people before me, much smarter than I am, have said before for over 20 years, people aren't going to be running from the so-called mark of the beast. They're going to be begging for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And dude, it gets worse too. Okay. So some of the latest developments on this, and we can show this to the folks, is that they're letting prisoners go. Like they're
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find that. Let me find that. Go ahead. Talking.
Yeah, if
unbelievable, that one, Mal. That's another one.
Okay, so this is happening, folks. Some of the states now are starting to release prisoners because of the virus, right? This is what they're saying. So they're letting inmates out of the prisons. At the same time, I don't know if you saw this, KJ. I reported on it yesterday. I did a video. Philadelphia suspended normal police operations. So the Philadelphia Police Department is no longer going to respond to normal sort of crimes. And theft, auto theft, right? All these different, there's a whole list that they released.
But isn't Philadelphia the same one who's not going to prosecute smaller crimes, right?
Yeah,
they release the prisoners. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So all this is happening at the same time. Now, what do they show you in the Batman movies?
Oh,
right?
Great connection. Yes.
So the Batman movies, like the Joker, the recent Joker. All right. So what happens? Did you see the Joker, by the way?
Yeah, I did a movie or I did a video because even that one was major programming for the incels, right? And for the for the nihilists, and even in that movie, after he made his first kill, he goes into a bathroom and the camera focuses on the black and white tile floor he stands on, and it pans up as he dances in glee for his first murder. And I've shown people that a million times. And even that video, I showed you all the examples, and this is the sacrifice in the Masonic floor. I just watched again, I'm an indie guy with horror and sci-fi, and I went to college for it. So even though I'm aware and awake with what I do now, that's where I get a lot of my material, is showing you what they're telling us through movies. So I still keep up with this stuff. And there's a director I've liked named Jeff Bezos for a few years, because he does underground horror films, thrillers and stuff with hardly any money. I've always appreciated that.
Yeah.
He just did a movie called VFW, where for the first time he's got all these big major Hollywood actors in it. I mean, one of them was the bad guy from Avatar, the Marine. Remember that guy, the old guy?
Yeah.
Steven something. Had a bunch of them. And sure enough, in this and it wasn't a very good movie, to be honest, but sure enough, in this movie, the opening 3 or so minutes, it's a woman getting pushed off of a bridge. And underneath the bridge, for whatever reason, in a homeless encampment, is a perfect black and white tiled floor that her body lands on and busts into blood. So that's when I see that, guys. I know this guy signed the contract. His next movie is going to have more money. Then we're going to find out who this guy is. He'll wind up being some big Hollywood horror guy, right?
Exactly. Now you think about it. So the Batman movies, especially the recent Joker, they depict a complete societal collapse. They basically, the Purge, right? All these movies about the Purge.
That's another one. Yep. And did you know that one of the campaign managers for Trump was one of the producers on the Purge?
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right. Go ahead.
None of it would surprise me. So over and over again, they're depicting a complete collapse of society and a clown world rising up, right? And there's a certain tribe that are obsessed with the whole making the clown world happen sort of thing. So this is what these movies are ultimately about. Ozzy Osbourne had a video trending on YouTube, the exact same thing, just like, I don't know, 6 months ago, and I covered it, where he's in the middle of a city and it's just chaos and there's violence and flames and bikers and gangsters everywhere, and it's just complete lawlessness. So what we see potentially manifesting here, where you have the prisons now, it's starting with, I think you showed Cleveland. There's a bunch of them, and they're saying Bernie Madoff's going to get out. Trump's lawyer Cohen is going to get out. I mean, like, these are just some of the characters that they're saying they're going to let these people out. They're just going to let them out, right? I mean, and it's like they're going to let out all these prisoners, and at the same time, they're going to suspend basic police duty in most of these urban centers. So it starts with Philadelphia. Next thing you know, it's Detroit. Next thing you know, it's New York and New Orleans, right?
Do you know what okay, now you got me thinking too. Darn you, Jeff. See, you got me thinking again. No, man, look, this is crazy. Now I want to do a video about this. I'll put this into something. Guys, look back on Albert Pike's 3 World Wars. Albert Pike is a revered 33rd degree Freemason among all the high-level Masons, probably the low-level ones too. But even he wrote about how they don't really matter. They don't know the truth. It's when you get to the highest levels, you realize we're Luciferian is what they say, right? But he said, and that, they give him credit like he's a prophet. He's predicted all these things, and he didn't. He was in the know. They've been creating all this. So look, guys, look up Albert Pike, Pike, World War III. And in that, you're going to see that part of it is going to be, before it comes, they will release the nihilists and the communists and the atheists on the Christians, right? And then once they all destroy each other, they'll destroy what's left, because they don't want any atheists in the New World Order. You better worship and bend a knee to their Luciferian God. But are you with me on that, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. One age or one world religion, a new world order religion of a false messiah, which is exactly how it's all unfolding. Also a worship of nature and science. This is so much a part of the rainbow programming of the masses, but all this is happening. And so it's very scary. Like, I don't want to freak people out, because I think fear is how they control us. And I say fear leads to an externalization of power, and then people demand on the government. But you have to be very concerned with how all this is unfolding, because you have this cheerleading, and a lot of the fake alternative media is cheerleading that, we need to shut down this, we need to impose, we got to bring in the army and stuff that.
Yeah, they are loving it. You're right. Now that's the other thing, and you know this as well. I mean, we realize there's a false left-right paradigm. That being said, it exists, and there is an extreme left, even in America. The Democrat Party we had for the last 30, 40 years is kaput. But still, my thing is, it was already very leftist anyway, but now it's being exposed. So that's kind of a nice thing about living in the apocalypse. Everything's coming out, so we're finally seeing these people for what they are. But they love this. This is what authoritarians want. This is like a wet dream for George Soros and people like that, because this is a perfect opportunity to control humanity. And that's what these gross, disgusting, nebbish, weak, limp-wristed little people want. I look at Mike Bloomberg, this multi-billionaire, but he wants to control you. You can tell.
And another thing too is that, and Grace has shown this, and many people have been showing this, is that all the major CEOs have been stepping down over the past 5 months or 6 months or so.
Bringing that up, I was another one I was going to pop out. Go ahead.
Yeah. So everybody needs to know this, that they've all been stepping down, one after another, after another, after another. It's uncanny. It's never been anything like this. And at the same time, all of them have been doing the insider trading. So, like Jeffrey Bezos selling off gazillions of dollars of his Amazon stock, right before the whole crash comes. And this is what we saw with 9/11, all the insider trading that happened, right? Knowing the airline stock and the
tribe,
cruise.
a lot of the tribe knew, right, about 9/11. Okay.
Exactly. So you see, and then people are theorizing, or there's a lot of speculation that the elites are heading into the bunkers, sort of thing. And there was, I don't know if you saw the video from Denver airport the other day that was extremely creepy.
No, what happened? And before we do, let me throw this out quickly. Don't forget that, please. But that also ties into that Q stuff. And again, I'm giving the Q people an opportunity here, guys. All right, but a lot of them are tying these same theories in with Q as well. I just want to throw that out there, Jeff. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, there was a video that was got millions of views from the Denver airport the other day. Which I'll send you a link to it here.
Okay, please do. Thanks.
Yeah, it was this guy, Nick Hinton here. So
thanks, Carol, by the way. Guys, thank you. I honestly, I don't want to say I forget, but I'm lazy about removing the super chat stuff because, again, I'm really am funded by the people at this point. YouTube isn't anything for us now, but for me, but so thank you guys. And I got the Patreon links, PayPal links. Also have a sponsor. If you're looking to prep, guys, I'll tell you more about it later. But if you're interested, there's a link below. And I'm not trying to scare you into it, but it's a cheap, good deal. But Carol, thank you very much for the donation, man. Sorry, Jeff, didn't mean to cut you off. But guys,
no, not at all.
I appreciate you. And I'm still working on the merchandise. I promise you I am. I'm just a perfectionist, so I have to get outside of myself. It's why it takes so long with videos. But I promise you when I release it, it'll be awesome. Anyway, Jeff, sorry. Please.
Yeah. Continue. So I did send you a link for that video, which I believe is like millions of views by now. It's just, it's from a guy with a 33 and all that, right? It's only about 17 seconds long, and there's 1.7 million views on it. But it was somebody, and he was focusing on gate 66, A66.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so you're going to hear the audio. You want to probably turn it up a bit, and it's very creepy.
Okay, give me a second, folks. Yeah. I want to put my microphone there on the right there on my speaker on the computer. So hopefully you'll hear it. And let's try it out. Let me make this bigger. All right, here we go, guys. Dang, whatever that is, it creeps me. It sounds like something from a dystopian horror film in the future. What did it say?
Well,
I didn't hear that.
It's something about I think it's dealing with the virus, right? It may be
oh my
played
gosh.
again. You hear it.
Yeah, I'll try it again, guys, because this guy says he kept hearing
something
it over and
spread,
over.
right? They say I can pick out that word.
I'll play it. Here we go, guys. I'll try again. We'll play it a few times. Gosh, guys, that is I still write. I don't share with anybody. One of these, if we're still around in 20 years, I'll want it published in some books someday, but I still write stuff, and I always come up with creepy, scary scenarios to, it's just the way I've always look at my videos. It's just what I do. But man, that gave me chills. This is really like a horror film in the future, right? And the dystopian government's taken over, and did they really have to make it sound so creepy? I mean,
and if you, I don't know if you can make it out, but it's A66, the gate that they're looking at there.
Oh, okay, I can't. Yeah. Oh, I see. You're right.
Yeah,
right.
So,
there you go.
And if you click on that guy's Twitter, so I would suggest you click on his
Nick
Hinton here. You'll see the 33 and all that, right? He's got the GG33, and he's got the Saturn cube. If you just scroll down, we were showing this last night.
Oh my gosh, he knows what's up. He's one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, guys, he's one of them. Yeah.
So of course, I think probably most of your audience know this. With the Denver airport is the creepiest airport on planet Earth. It's the New World airport. It's the airport with all the underground passages that many people theorize that the elites and the government will use when they enact the New World Order and they go through with the whole depopulation thing. And of course, in the Hunger Games, it's Denver that's the capital of this New World Order sort of thing, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if people knew that or not. In fact, that goes back to the Mormons' White Horse prophecy. It's something to do with the mountain in Denver, Colorado. They believe will be the safe place, right?
We were talking about that too. The horse of the apocalypse that's outside the Denver airport that actually killed the guy that that designed it, it fell on top of him.
Yeah.
This is the way that they do their black magic, right? And then, of course, yeah, you're showing the murals. I mean, that is the craziest stuff ever.
Do you think that this one here, let me find a better good picture of it. Oh, guys, did you know they covered all these up, by the way? I've had people actually send me pictures in email that have gone to Denver airport and showed me they covered this up, because about 2 years ago, we started getting pummeled with commercials from big corporations making fun of Illuminati conspiracies, like Pizza Hut, Progressive Insurance, Denver Airport put a gargoyle out there with a comedian making fun of the conspiracy, and they did commercials. Anyway, guys, do you think, I wonder if this could be a kind of a symbol perhaps of what's happening now or what's coming?
Yes,
I don't know.
I think it absolutely is. And so you see a plague, right? With the soldier with the gas mask, with the scimitar or whatever they call it there, the sword and the gun, and he's slicing through, and there's all these people that die of what looks like a plague. And the whole art depicts a transformation of the world. So the world goes from the old world to the new world. In the new world, they have the phoenix, and they have all the children that are they're burning up all the weapons, right?
Let me see if I can find it. I think this is it here.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, guys. If that's not globalist coexist, folks, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's all Agenda 21. And you see right below there, you can see the one of the placards there that was making fun of the conspiracies with the horse, right? That's how they
let me show them.
They get the sheeple to,
guys, look at that. Yeah, this was a real ad campaign, which I'm sure they put millions of dollars into. I mean, but even when you go there, and it's really obvious, you can see the capstone for the airport where they have they're thinking they're not thinking, but they're saying it's funded by the Freemasons. It's the quote New World Airport.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and it looks like something creepy out of the future. And of course, you got the swastika.
You can show that. It's right up at the top where you were, and it's a swastika. Yeah, you go up to there. It is up on the top left corner.
This one? Oh, thank you. Yeah, right, guys, there. Check that out. March 19th, 1994. Where we look, New World Airport Commission. There you have. I mean, it's got the freaking seal right there, folks.
But the square and the compass and the whole.
And I know that people, look, some people get mad at me. I've had people write me. I've even seen Freemasons with YouTube channels make videos and stuff. But here's the deal, and I've said this, I've admitted before. I'm from a small town in Oklahoma, and both of my grandpas were Freemasons, both of them. I didn't even get to meet one. All right, that's a whole long story. But the other one I grew up with till I was probably 10 years old. He went to a small church in Rosedale, Oklahoma, and is a good Christian man. But he was into the Freemason stuff. Even as a kid, I thought it was all really weird. I didn't get it. I would go into his closet and I'd see his apron and all that stuff. But the thing is that as Albert Pike taught us many years later, and a lot of work from Manly P. Hall, guys, you can look him up as well. They explain that's the way it works. Is most of these Masons, they're porch Masons essentially. They want these people to think that it's connected to their religion and it's just all a part of like community service and whatnot. But it's when you're dealing with Hollywood Masons, like when I worked out there, I told y'all I had a couple producers tell me I should become a Freemason. I was like, what? What's a Freemason? Back then, I was like, I knew it was a group. I didn't know what. And this is just before I woke up. So that when you deal with these guys, different level. You deal with Washington, like Newt Gingrich came out saying, now look, this is a Trump thing, all right, it's true. But when Newt, and you can say it's all part of the plan, but Newt Gingrich came out when Trump was 2016 and said he'll never be president because he hasn't been through the initiations. He's not a part of our secret society.
As if.
Right, as if. So now we see all the stuff with Trump where it's like, he's no dodo. The guy's not a dum-dum, and he has to be aware of this stuff. He's on, in fact, speaking of 66, Trump has a Trump Tower. He has his own loft on the 66th floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? With Apollo the sun god on the ceiling of his apartment. So guys, again, I'm not immediately saying he's a demon or he's evil. I'm just saying that it all falls into place. Yes. Now, and I also take the other side that God has used wicked men and women throughout the years to do things. So God can use Trump to do, and I think that, look, I take a win when I see a win. When Trump has done good things that are anti-globalist and all this, I cheer. I don't talk about it a lot. I don't do videos about it because, again, it's very divisive. But that's just the way I live. I don't want to live in a constant state of like, F it, it's done. The devil's won. It's all evil. No, guys, we've got to fight. We've got to stand up. I've been fighting for over 10 years. Jeff C has been fighting for, I don't know, probably 10 years, or how long you been?
Yeah, well, it's 8 years in April. So.
eight years in April. So almost 10 years of his life.
Yeah,
we're fighting the best way we know how, to do this and help unlock people's minds. So it's not just us.
There's always good that comes from bad too, and vice versa, right? So, again, what I say to people, yes, a lot of what we're showing tonight is pretty scary, but the fear is all part of that. Like, they want you, like they show you this stuff in a way to control you, because it's a form of gaslighting, right? Where they're able to terrorize you and then make you think, oh, it's all in your mind, sort of thing. So by and large, and I don't think a lot of people would realize this, that you don't, like, maybe you don't realize it because you know, if you're watching television, you think, oh, it's just entertainment, or I like this show, it's good, but you don't really realize what the whole purpose of it is. And the purpose really is just to control you. And the ways that they do it are very sinister. They understand mind control through and through, right? Like, they learned from the CIA, learned from the Satanists, and they perfected it through MK Ultra and all that, right? So, and they're so beyond that now, to the point.
Michael Aquino, guys, quickly, if you want to look that up, and if you're Jeff, whatever, look up Michael Aquino. Blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So, having fear makes it easier for them to control us. So people that get fear will ask for the government to come in and save them. And a lot of what's happening now, like, this is what's troubling about what's happening, because they're bankrupting all these people. They're destroying people's stocks, pensions, and all these things. And then they're saying, don't worry, we're going to give out checks, right? And then you're going to be beholden, kind of like the Rothschild banking system, where they bail out countries around the world, right? Oh, they create wars and oil inflation and all these things, and they bankrupt these countries, and then they come in and say, hey, don't worry, we'll bail you out. The IMF or whatever, right, comes in, and then the country is controlled. And it's always, Mayor Rothschild, right? He didn't care about who runs the country, as long as I run the currency, sort of thing. This goes back hundreds of years. And this is their control system. So using fear is a big part of that. And we have to be careful, even though being cognizant of much of what's going on, that we don't allow that fear to make us powerless, that we react in the ways that they don't want us to react, because what they do want you to do is be glued to your television, be demanding the government take more action, and to protect you. Because this is the whole thing too about the virus, when he says an invisible enemy. I mean, at the end of the day, folks, at the end of the day, it could be nothing. At the end of the day, this could all be a big show. And they could, just because they create this invisible boogeyman, everyone throws away their rights. Or they say, government, do what is necessary to save me, save my family. Take whatever you need, right? Because people are so scared. They've been watching the television, and the CNN and Fox News and all these. I've been watching so many of the broadcasts, and it's always panic, don't panic, panic, don't panic, panic. Now is not the time to panic. Now is the time to sell your stock. Now is the time not to sell your stock. Now is the time to stock up. Now is not the time to stock up. It's over and over again. This is how they control you. It's kind of like I could talk about the accordion effect, or the seesaw, where it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And they keep you on edge all the time, so that you're, so people panic, and then you see the effect. Like, it's like you go to the store and people are wearing masks and stuff like that. Like I'm not seeing, luckily, a lot of that where I'm at, but I have seen some. And I was, where was I the other day? I was at a store the other day. I think it was Dollar General, actually. It's probably getting stuff for, the house and Chubbs and whatever, but said Dollar General, and me and the guy behind the counter we got in a conversation about UFC, because they just had a big fight. And we're both talking too.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Good night. Yeah. Well, some of them were short, but yeah, we talked about the fights, and then he grabbed my hand. He's, hey man, good talking to you. Shook my hand. He's, oh dang man, I'm sorry. And he pulled his hand back. I was like, no, dude, don't.
Oh,
You're okay, man. Don't. You're cool. Have a good day, man. But yeah, so same thing. Even the smallest ways, we see it manifesting in this, and that's what it is, right? It's like it really is. It's going to be in the playground of the mind, guys. We can't live in fear. Of course, I say lean on our faith, trust in Jesus, trust in the Lord, and everything. But that's not being lazy and sitting on our butts and saying, "Okay, God, take care of it." It's like, no, we need to be active. We've got to lead people into not being afraid of what's happening and to being reasonable, because we don't know how this will play out exactly. We see the potential of everything. We see how incredibly dangerous this can be, guys. This is gray state. He showed us this. That kid showed us this 5 years ago, or however long it was. This is gray state. So we see the potential. So, but we take it, as it comes. All right. And we got to remember that at the end of the day, if they lock us all down, if they activate the FEMA regions in America, which is a real thing, guys, there's 13 of them.
They are, by the way.
Yeah, right. And if they do all this, guys, and we got, just remember, if it all goes crazy, there's more of us than there's the millions of us, exactly. Thousands of them. I've got a gun. My family, my sister is a freaking cowgirl and got tons of guns with her and her husband, or you name it. Like, we're okay, and we're going to figure something out if it all goes down. I don't want it to be that way, but I've already had that talk with they've all been coming to me now for years. They're like, oh, we know you're into weird stuff, KJ. But man, the last few months, they're coming to me, family, friends. Hey man, what's going on? And now especially. So
yeah,
right.
Another thing too is like talk to soldiers. They're not like it's gonna be very hard to get American soldiers to fire on American people, right? Because they have family and friends. I mean, they're all amongst us. So
yeah,
if you've got soldiers in your neighborhood and people that are in the military, talk with them, be friends with them, because you want those people to be there for you if things go bad. You want to be able to approach them and say, what is going on? Another thing too, I'm very glad that you mentioned it because I've covered it quite a bit, is the breakdown of human interaction, which is a big part of what
man, that's a big deal. Go ahead, Jeff. I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, because okay, so I show how Dr. Oz, of course, Wizard of Oz, right? Dr. Oz and all these characters are coming saying it's the end of the handshake. The handshake is over. Now, they're not saying, I want to make this clear to folks, they're not saying just stop handshaking for now. Stop touching each other until this whole thing passes over. No, they're saying it's over. It's over. You can search this yourself. You'll see gazillions of articles saying we have to stop handshaking. We have to stop kissing. We have to stop.
Jeff, I was about to say, sorry to cut in, but I mean, again, an hour before the show starts tonight, my local news has a doctor on there from California talking about the dangers of married people copulating with each other, guys. Seriously.
Wow.
So, and they're talking about taking precautions with each other.
All right.
So go ahead.
That's nuts. Okay, so we talked about this last night. I've done a bunch of videos on it, and I'm because I've been covering this for so many years, the societal breakdown. So, okay, let's just talk about for a second one of the major objectives of the New World Order, which is depopulation. So what do you have to do to achieve depopulation? Well, one of the things you have to do is destroy the family, right? The family unit has to go the way of the dodo. So everything Me Too times up, all the toxic masculinity, the normalization of divorce and broken families everywhere, right? The whole notion of toxic children, toxic fathers, all this, it weaves its way into all of our entertainment. It's all part of our programming. So they have been deconstructing for the past 70 years or more the American family, right? The whole family nucleus. This is all going back to the what do you call it? The Fabian socialist and the cultural Marxist.
Oh yeah,
right?
and then what's the famous doctor that they even did a series on Showtime, the sex doctor that was conducting pedo. Gosh, what was his name?
Yeah, Alfred Kinsey. Yeah,
thanks, man.
Kinsey.
Oh, guys, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, all right, please look up Dr. Kinsey. They even did a whole, and of course they made a series on how much of a genius he was, and he was brilliant, but he was a degenerate. He was disgusting.
He was the Crowleyist.
Crowleyist.
Yeah.
He was normalizing the most disgusting sexual things you could ever imagine. But go ahead.
Yeah, Alfred Kinsey. Okay, so the sexual revolution that happened, and that is sold as the greatest thing, right? And you had the three amigos, and they were all proteges of Alfred Kinsey. So who am I talking about? Hugh Hefner, Bob Guccione Jr., and Larry Flint. Those are Playboy,
Wow.
Penthouse,
Yeah.
and Hustler. Okay, so what they did, Alfred Kinsey, who was, again, he was a radical Crowleyist. Like, he was so much into what's his name there, Aleister Crowley.
And guys, if you don't know, and I always like to throw this in, there
Yeah.
might be new people. Guys, look up Aleister Crowley if you want a new rabbit hole to
wickedest
go
man ever.
down. Yeah, wickedest man in the world. And these people love and adore. He's like, well, we have the new one. What's her name again, Jeff? You know her name, the new Aleister Crowley that all the celebrities love and politicians.
Oh yeah, Marina Abramovich.
Thank you. And Marina Abramovic is this generation's Aleister Crowley.
And they're all into cannibalism and all that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have disgusting parties where you can see all these celebrities that you thought were the greatest, nicest people. Like the one that blew me away, man, that I found this 3 years ago. And I still get surprised by stuff. I'm not totally shock proof, but I was really surprised to see Hugh Jackman at one of those parties with the, person acting like a dead body in a pool of blood that they were chewing off of. Unbelievable.
It's out of this world. So Kinsey wrote the whole books on all three. So on male sexuality, on female sexuality, on children's sexuality, and for male and females, he used psychopathic prisoners, murderers, rapists, all these. That's how he developed his whole psychology and all his books. So all of our modern sort of sexual education systems based on Aleister Crowley. For the children, this is worse. This is well documented that he actually paid. I'm going to apologize in advance to people that might be sensitive to this because it's very horrific to think about it. But he actually paid grown men to rape babies and record their orgasms with us. He'd give them a stopwatch and a notebook, and the louder they scream, that was determined to be the orgasms. And the youngest child that they documented that they experimented on was 8 months old. All of your sex ed curriculum, the New World Order sex ed curriculum, is based on that. Hugh Hefner, Playboy.
God. Guys, right? I'm sorry, Jeff. Guys, let that sink in for a second. What a great point. For real, guys, let that sink in. That's one of the good things I said in a recent show, again, about the C virus situation. I love that we're seeing the end of public schools for children. And I hope what will happen is these parents get used to the new curriculum. They can teach on their own. Homeschool, and let's continue. That's great. And we're going to see the end of church, man. That's happening right now. It's happening in my state where I'm at. They don't want people gatherings with 10 or more. Yes. But it's a good thing, guys. Okay, look, we are seeing the end of the church, of the churchianity. All that's going to die away, and people are going to start falling more and more into what our community has been talking about for years. Have your own personal relationship with God through Christ, right? And just work on that, and try to help others and whatnot. But don't be dogmatic, kooky, religion, Pharisee, whatever. And that's another thing I think is a wonderful thing coming out of the hardness of what we're about to face. But go ahead, Jeff.
Exactly. So all of the deconstruction. So it started with the 1960s, Marilyn Monroe, Hugh Hefner, Playboy magazine, women first going topless. You saw the bathing suits change, everything like that. It's all shown as liberation, and women embrace that. But really, it's about the deconstruction of the family, right? If you can program men into being sexual addicts with porn, which is everywhere, right? And you can program women into being angry, militant, feminist, or basically converting into men, which is what they do by and large everywhere you look.
Which is also pushed a lot through witchcraft, the new third wave feminism and lesbianism and all that as well. That's why there's such a rise of witchcraft. Go ahead.
Exactly. So ultimately what this does is it completely deconstructs the family. Instead of women and their most, like for women, it's 16 to 24 is their most fertile, right? So traditionally, it goes back even earlier. It's like right after puberty, but those are the peak ages for a woman to reproduce, sort of thing. They push that back. It's all Bill Gates and all the eugenicists and the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the New World Order itself who have designed this sort of entertainment realm and this programming of the masses and this massive indoctrination into feminism, feminist degrees, everything, the cultural Marxism and all the academia that programs women into being victims and hating men and all this. So they've deconstructed the family by and large, and this has led to a massive depopulation. At the same time, our bodies are chemically we have like 50,000 chemicals that our great grandparents didn't have in us, right? So many of these things that are in our food products, our water, are wreaking havoc on our reproduction. So the average male sperm count, I don't know if people know this, it's down about 60% from what it was in the 80s. So people are having so much hard time trying to give birth that one of the solutions is intro fertilization, right? Which is all part of Brave New World, of all part of this new test tube baby type of CRISPR baby, gene editing babies, and then eventually, of course, transhumanists, CRISPR editing, all molded together with the new future human beings, where they mold both the women and men together like a transgender, like a Baphomet.
Oh man. Hey, let me throw this at you. This one's pretty cool, actually. This happened about 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it on a show, I think right after it happened a few weeks ago, but and I think you and I are the same. We catch each other's work from time to time, but sometimes we do long shows, right? But here's what happened. It's pretty cool. My mom and dad, they just had their 40th wedding anniversary about a year ago. They've been together forever.
Wow.
And they're such a lovely couple.
Amazing.
I know. And they are salt of the earth Midwesterners. I mean, and they're not even cuckoo crazy over the top with their faith and religion. They don't force God, Jesus on people, but they're loving, they're caring. I just can't say enough good about them. That being said, they've always, been purposefully dumbed down about what I do. Many years ago, I started in with them about what I do, and it freaked them out. So ever since then, I learned I just keep it very, casual. I joke with mom and dad when I see them. We have a good time. We don't talk about anything I do, and I've been doing that for 10 years, right?
I gotta do the
same. What happened is I had a cousin I was close to. He was about 5 years younger than me. He is a musician, and he was a true genius. I mean this. He lived in Chinatown in LA when I was out there. He moved out there because I was there in LA. I stayed with him a lot. That's where I woke up, actually, was one night at his apartment. He was a musician, by the way. I was at his place, and that's where I found that video footage of Bohemian Grove. And then I went down a rabbit hole that night. And honestly, guys, within like less than a month, I made the scariest movie ever made. That's when I first woke up, was at John's apartment. But John unfortunately passed away about 5 years ago from diabetes. And, his father died a year later. So my aunt, all right, her name's Doris, my aunt. I have a huge family. My mom has 6 sisters. So this is one of my aunts. Mm-hmm. So my Aunt Doris, ever since her husband and her son died, she still has a daughter who's married with 2 kids, thank God, has some grandkids. But outside of that, she has a lot of time on her hands. And what she's been doing over the last year is asking me more and more about my work and questions about the Catholics and the Pope and things like that. So I feed her a little bit as we go along. Her and I built this interesting relationship ever since, this has happened. Mm-hmm. And I just found out, this happened about 2 weeks ago. My mom called me one morning just to say hi. We hadn't talked in probably a few days. So my mom calls me all the time, maybe too much, but whatever. So calls me, we're talking, and I don't know why, but she mentioned Obama. And I went off on just like a 3-minute tear without even realizing I was doing it about Michelle Obama being Michael Robinson and being a man, and that it was all a sham, right? Yeah. And for whatever reason, again, I never talk about this with my parents, it really affected mom. She kept asking questions, and I was saying, oh yeah, mom, I was explaining like the gay bathhouses in Chicago and everything else. So then after a little bit, we were done with it, and I was like, all right, I love you, I'll talk to you later. Hung up with her. That night, my mom calls me. This is, maybe 9 hours later. We talked in the morning that day. Calls me that night. She says, you're never going to believe what happened. I said, what happened? Says, your Aunt Wanda called me tonight, and it was within 2 minutes of us talking, she wanted to tell me how she had just learned that Michelle Obama was a man, and she's been looking into this for a week, and she knows it's the truth. And I was like, yes. I go, Mom, that's the way it works. I said, and now you're starting to see why all these years, remember, like I told her, like when people were putting your home address in videos and people were coming after me, and I've had so many issues and all this. That's why that is, Mom, because people like me, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us who are just simply trying to tell the truth. And it's a very dangerous thing these days. Yeah. Anyway, just a little side road there, but go ahead, man. Continue.
Yeah, that's an excellent thing to bring in, and it's so nice to hear that your parents have been together for 40 years. It's just beautiful.
Thanks, God. They set the example. I love it. Thank you.
I show on how Mother's Day and Father's Day, it's like, whether it's the Canadian Brainwashing Corporation up here in Canada, it's like they celebrate like lonely dykes or homosexual. I mean, it's out of this world, right?
But
what I want to say though, about the handshaking and everything that's going on. Okay, so Aldous Huxley, right? Who again, like George Orwell, was part of the New World Order in his generation, sort of thing. So you think that they give you these books to wake you up? In a way, they can, of course, but they're really just kind of predictive programming for a lot of what's going on. So in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, you have different types of humans that are bred for specific purposes, the alpha, beta, deltas and all that, right? That, certain people are born with a certain intelligence to do menial tasks. Other people are born to do more administrative things and all that. And they're all born in test tubes. The children are all sexualized from the earliest age, right? So little children that are 2-3 years old are getting orgasms, and they're all having, group sex and stuff like that. Sex has been completely removed from reproduction. So this has been a huge part of the New World Order is to remove...
They're all on a drug too, right, Jeff?
Yeah. So the LGBT, like people see the drag and all the transgenders and all this. This is just them inverting everything and turning everything upside down and destroying our fertility. They want to take complete control of human reproduction. And so what has been coded to us for so many decades, and they've shown us in the movies and so much in the books and everything, is that in the future, people won't touch each other. They won't have sex, right? They want us...
It's dehumanizing the humans.
Yes. So a lot of what's happening when you just told me the story where they're telling people not to have sex, right? And it's madness. It's the craziest thing ever. People not touching. Now, I've showed this. I went through great detail. I was showing all the articles and videos, and I was showing this character, Dr. Oz, and he's like, no, the age of the handshake is over. And then they were saying, what about the fist bump? Well, that's better, but really, it's better not to touch at all. The elbow bump. Well,
that's so ridiculous, man.
You can't do elbow bumps because you cough into your elbow. So they're saying to bow now instead and not touch anybody. And so, okay, check this out. I want to show you this. I showed this last night.
Okay.
Well, thanks to one of my listeners here.
You got a link you want me to show or something?
Yeah, I'm going to get it for you right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so what are they telling people as a protocol for distance? What have you heard? Like, you have to stay how far apart?
6 feet apart?
Yes.
That's what I've heard, yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I'll just send this to you here. This is a movie that came out not even exactly a year ago. It was in theaters. And you cannot make this up. You cannot, right? This is how they do it.
I'll put it up, guys. Hold on one second, guys. More predictive programming, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is the deconstruction of... Okay, so...
5 feet apart. I haven't heard about this.
I showed this last night. It's insane, right?
Wow.
So think about it. What happens when you stop touching people? Like your friends, right? Your buddies. You touch them all the time. You shake their hands. You give them hugs, maybe some friendly taps and stuff like that, right?
Sure.
That is how you form bonds with people. That's how you build trust. If you don't touch people, you don't trust them. So like here in Quebec, it's the double kiss. You don't do it with the men, but all the women.
Gosh, dude, that's an LA thing. Let me throw this out there. You know, some of y'all know I moved to LA after film school after living in Brooklyn for about a year in New York. Worked with Fangoria and Trauma Team, which later now I found out that Lloyd Kaufman, the creator of Trauma Team, is associated with a lot of this really creepy pedo stuff. Y'all can look this up. Lloyd Kaufman, Trauma Team. You look up Trauma Team pedo, and maybe you'll find some images. Now, look, again, I didn't know Lloyd. I was just a scrub that worked with the camera guys back in the day, but it was cool because I'm a horror geek, and it was all like, Trauma, Toxic Avenger, Sergeant
Kabuki those are
Man.
Cool, actually.
Yeah, Surf Nazis Must Die. I mean, cool, edgy punk movies, man. But anyway, but I moved to LA, worked in television for a long time, and same thing, man, reality TV.
Have you ever seen the film Demolition Man?
Man, I think I didn't make a video, but I mentioned that in a show one night. I showed everybody Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone, and then I showed that this is last year, I believe in 2019, America voted Taco Bell their favorite Mexican restaurant in America. Right? And guys, if you didn't know, Demolition Man's about Sylvester Stallone's a cop. He gets cryo frozen, wakes up in the future. But in the future, the only restaurant, the most popular restaurant in the world, is Taco Bell, and it's like fine dining. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, though.
It's a bit like Idiocracy, where everybody drinks. The water fountains are Gatorade, basically. So in the film, it's very prophetic. Demolition Man, and what they show is a future where people don't touch each other, and they don't have sex. And it's like, you see this now and they're like, oh my God. And it's all about germs. And in fact, in the film, they talk about the great pandemic and nobody touches each other because of it, sort of thing. So they predictively program these things. They thought this whole operation out a long time ago. And this is in many ways, that's why I say, like, this is the biggest event of our lives. It's way bigger than 9/11, what's going on, because it's affecting everybody in the world. And they're doing a complete deconstruction of human interaction. Like they are separating us all, and they're telling us this has to be the norm going forward. And the psychological effect that it will have on people. Like, I just showed this exact. I sent it in a Twitter message, but I wonder if I can send you a screenshot here.
Look at this picture from Demolition Man with the all-seeing eye.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, we don't see it. We're just seeing the waves there.
Okay. Oh, you don't see it? Oh, let me see here. Let me check on my end and see what's going on. Oh, my bad. Thank you, man. Guys, Jeff, keep me in line.
No problem.
This thing that I always
know what it's like. I host so many shows. So
because I was trying, I showed your link before and it wasn't up there. So let me go back and show the link for the people just in case here. Yeah, seriously. Sorry, guys. I'm not used to this kind of a format where I'm trying to, talk to someone and share something at the same time. So thanks for being understanding. Let's try this. This is what Jeff was just talking about. Was the
the
5 feet apart or whatever. Yeah,
5 feet apart. And okay, so I showed today how on on the BB that's Corona Corpse.
I'll bring the other thing up, but go ahead. We already saw that, didn't we?
Yeah, what I was showing today was on the BBC. They had these articles saying, should children play together anymore, sort of thing. Right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. It was on their website, and right next to it they had U.S. jails now releasing prisoners, and then right next to that they had, should children still play with each other?
Wow. Guys,
it's just nuts.
But now let's narrow it down here too, because it's not that we're doing that now, but I never want to be one to be looking at what's happening in a way that gives all credit to the beast system, the devil, the Illuminati. You can call them the bankers, whatever. But I don't want to live a world where it's always like they're always winning.
Yes.
Okay? Right? Because sometimes we win, sometimes good things happen. And maybe part of this process, with all the negativity and kind of hard times that I believe are going to come, that seem to be associated with this, throughout this, I'm looking for the good things that'll come out. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking for the good stuff. I think it can happen, guys. So let's not just be a total doomtard, if you will, about this and think it's over, it's finished, it's done. We don't know, guys. And this is a real fight. Like, I don't know what your fight's going to be individually, folks, but be looking for it, because I think we're all being called into action. We're going to have to stand up and fight, guys. We can't just stay at home and talk on the internet.
But that's what we're doing, though, right now, by talking about this stuff, because otherwise people may not think it through to what they're doing. I just sent you the link for the BBC article there.
Let me grab it.
Yeah, for the should children play together. And again, like, it's just nuts what they're doing, because the whole deconstruction, it's already happened with children. And I talk to my friends all the time, who have children and stuff, and that kids don't play outside anymore. When I was a kid, street hockey, like, we had street hockey games back to back all the way down the street, sort of thing. Kids were always outside. I was building tree forts, chasing girls, building skateboard ramps, always outside, never watching TV, always playing with other kids.
Same.
Now the kids, they're autistic, and they're made that way, right? Because they don't develop the way that they're supposed to. Children are supposed to. It's like growing into your body. You don't want to put a kid in like a room that's like a museum where there's nothing for them to play with and hurt themselves with. Like there's no germs for them to build up their immune system, right? And this all feeds into it. Like think about this, KJ. While at the same time they're putting up articles like this, should children play together and stuff? They're also saying sterilize everything. Now think of little children. When we were kids, there was dirt and grime and germs everywhere, and your body just dealt with it. Yeah, you got sick, whatever, but you coughed it up, and the next day you're back out. The kids today, everything is sprayed, and it's not sterilized because it's all these chemicals. You look on the back of a Lysol bottle or Febreze. I covered Febreze years ago. 18 carcinogens in a bottle of Febreze. So people spray this stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man! I'm glad you brought that one up too. I didn't realize it was that bad, but I had seen in the past there were carcinogens in Febreze, and I've had Febreze in the past just to kind of spray on the couch every now and then, put it on a chair, and it makes it smell nice. And this is like 3 years ago. I started seeing how all that stuff was connected with that, guys. Man, I mean, again, and I know it's hard for people to accept because we don't want to think, wow, they're trying to kill us. Now,
they are.
but they are. And some of them, I think, are consciously really trying to end humanity and elements of it. And then some of them are just so lost spiritually, if you will, or like with morals. They're being used for this kind of an agenda, and they may not even realize it, but it's happening. It is look at the Extinction Rebellion. That is a death cult, guys, and it's basically comprised of upper middle class people. These people who bought this lie that that all white people are evil. We've created all this problems. It's all a bunch of white people who are doing really well, probably better than us, but they want everything to burn. Guys, hello, this is a spirit.
What is the symbol of the Extinction Rebellion?
As above, so below. Man, that's one of them.
What's the symbol of the birth strikers?
I don't know, actually.
Do a Google search. You'll see one of my thumbnails. Just put just put birth strikers in. Don't even put anything else. Birth strikers and like a image search, and you should see one of my videos because it always seems to come out.
I haven't heard of this birth strikers.
Yes, it's out of the Extinction Rebellion. They're
really?
There's a whole generation of kids that are coming up saying they're not going to have babies.
Oh.
They're striking all these.
This.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, you got to see
birth striker images. Oh, there's a bunch of. Well, this is not going to
put it as one word. I don't know why it's coming up like that. That's crazy.
Birth striker.
Yeah, put it birth strike.
Yeah, this is DuckDuckGo, by the way, so it should be working. Yeah. Well, what am I looking at? Is this any of it? Do you think?
Yeah, that's it.
Here it is. Climate change is causing birth strikers. Are you kidding me, Jeff?
Yeah, I've covered this. I've shown this, and
it's bad. I missed it.
If you do the search in Google, you'll get my thumbnail that I show, which maybe you'll see in this article if you scroll down, which is the symbol of the birth strikers. I don't know if it's there, but it's the same thing. It's just the as above. It's on the side though, instead of like the two. Look. The two pyramids on top, like if you search a little bit more in the images.
Yeah, more images. Can I find more here? What the heck?
Or do you have Google? If you put
Google, let me find a Google here. Let me do that. I don't like using it.
Yeah, I know. I don't blame you. But yeah, you'll if you put Google. That in, you'll probably see my thumbnail because every time I do it, I show it to folks, and it always seems to show my video, and it has AOC in it.
Oh gosh, that one! I cannot believe that woman. But it's just another example, man, of what we're. Okay, let me put. Let me find the link left. Birth strikers. Where was that? Birth strikers. BIR strike. Okay.
Yeah, it's one word, baby, but yeah, you'll see.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, buddy. Let's try that.
No, it's cool. Oh.
Google one word birth strikers.
Yeah, just birth strikers.
All right, let's try that.
And
let's look at images first. Yeah. More images. There we go.
And there it is. Yeah, on the left there, where they have AOC. No, just one down. That's
you?
Yeah, that's me. That's
nice.
You see Supreme Lord Commander. That's my Twitter.
Yep.
And you see the exact same symbols that they're using, and they use it on the uterus, or right on the navel, or the right where the uterus is on the woman, sort of thing, right? That this is highly symbolic of, this is the New World Order. Like, none of the kids understand what the symbols mean. They just draw them everywhere. And they've been conditioning with Greta, the Greta witch, the character, of course. They've been conditioning people into this nihilistic feminist, sort
Oh
of
yeah,
degenerative, angry, militant. And again, you've seen the eco sex and all that, right? Like, where people are having sex with plants and trees and stuff like that.
Yep, there people are marrying bridges, they're marrying trees.
Yeah.
I mean, this is you and I, we have our own views on stuff, but we cover a lot of the same kind of ideas, which is what I've always loved about you. One of the things, but you're right, we're literally witnessing the end of humanity in that respect. The total end of like real love and connection.
Yes.
People, like I said, marrying a freaking bridge, marrying trees, right?
Holograms.
Holograms. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, there's a Chinese guy that married an anime hologram.
Unbelievable.
And then did you see the people that are marrying themselves?
Yes. Yep. I've seen that as well.
I mean, to me, they're like, they're make-believe media, but they're still there. Like, they're put out by the Daily Mail and stuff as real sort of things. But yeah, they're deconstructing everything that would give us strength and make us functioning sort of good human beings.
What are your thoughts on? I mean, I know it's a really complicated subject, 'cause it's complicated for me. How do you seriously feel about Trump's overall role in all this? How much awareness he has? What's your overall feeling? I'm curious about just your take on this.
Yeah, I think Trump, like all presidents, is a puppet, and he is just an actor playing a role. I think he is completely controlled, and I think he is 110% a servant of the New World Order, and I think in many ways he's accelerating the whole process, but he's just merely an actor, a figure that they use. He is installed because he is the ultimate polarizer. He represents the old white boys club, the privileged, the white misogynist, the the racist, the bigot. Right? He is the perfect polarizing president. He has the terrible hair. Much same. They mirror him in several leaders. So they've got Bojo, who's basically the exact same character.
Is fascinating, guys.
Yes,
you know this
with the bad hair.
Tell him who Bojo is, just in case.
Boris Johnson. He's the
Boris Johnson.
Yeah, he's the prime minister of
right.
UK, right? And then you have Bolsonaro, who is the leader of Brazil, and he's exactly the same. They're all the same character, more or less, and they play that role of being the misogynist, old white boy privilege sort of character. And so it's a perfect polarizer for the American, because it's all a deconstruct what's happened to the left and the right, the fake paradigm that they use to control humanity. They want half the population to absolutely hate him and have no chance of any sort of dialogue with the other half. And that's exactly what they've created with this character with Trump, because the people that hate him to death. Like, they will never move an inch. They absolutely, because he's just physically, with the orange face, that they put the orange paint on his face and the hair, he is just so revolting to so many people, and that's a perfect design character. So yeah, I think that's ultimately, and I believe that about all the presidents. I believe they are all actors. Like, they are. Maybe if you go back 100 years or so, you might actually find characters that were decent presidents that actually stood for American values. But I think since, I don't know, you go back, I mean, obviously Ronald Reagan was pretty much senile by the time he became president.
and all of them but one were associated with the King of England. I've shown that in my movie as well. And there was a 12-year-old girl, I think she was even Canadian, but it was a worldwide story. This came out like 10 years ago, where she did a birth chart on all the presidents, and she is probably on the spectrum on some level, and that's not a knock. My nephew's on the spectrum. The kid's a genius, and he's functional, but he's also a genius with auto parts. I know it sounds weird, but he can tell you anything about an auto part. I think this girl was similar. She did a birth chart with all the U.S. presidents, every single one was connected in birth to the King of England.
they're all
one.
Yep. What is
And
his name there? Which king was it? King
I know
Scott or whatever.
Edward. I can't remember, man.
Yeah,
But
the Grace did a whole video on that.
Okay.
If you don't know this, folks, all the presidents, all the leaders of the world are all related. It's uncanny.
Yeah, and Trump is not related to that King of England, but he's related to Hillary as a cousin, which is weird.
And he's also the Grumpf, right? Like he's of a certain tribe that you're not allowed to talk about, but his real ancestral name, because they changed it to Trump, is Drumpf. So
let's get into some really weird stuff. Have you heard about this? The connection with Trump's grandfather and Nikolai Tesla?
Yep. Yeah.
So guys, if you want to go down to this fun rabbit hole, because I'm not even sure if I'm with where it leads, but you can look into this connection, which is real and it's established between Nikolai Tesla's work and Trump's grandfather. And then I add to that, just for fun, because we like the weird around here. Look up the two. There's two ancient statues or artwork of from like thousands of years ago that looks exactly like President Trump.
Yeah, it's nuts, eh?
Yeah, you've seen it. Let me see if I can maybe pull the image.
Yeah, there's a book too about Trump.
I don't know about that. What is that one?
Yeah, Grace did that. I have to go back and watch it because it's really bizarre, but it's like predicting again, like it's almost like they have a time machine and they know exactly how it's all going to unfold, sort of thing. I mean, in some ways, I think that almost makes sense with the way that so much of the predictive programming and the way everything seems to unfold. It's like they seem to. It's almost like Back to the Future, because hey, it's interesting. I just mentioned Back to the Future.
Yeah,
the Biff character in Back to the Future is actually modeled on Trump.
Right. Yeah, that's another one that's very interesting, man. Guys, if you haven't seen that connection between the Biff character from Back to the Future and Trump, that's there as well. This is one of the examples I was trying to tell you all about. There's this gargoyle statue that's a few thousand years old.
Looks just like him. Yeah,
looks just like him. There's also the Illuminati card game. And that's another thing that's kind of...
Yeah, that's the craziest. Of course, everybody knows that, right? The Illuminati card game is always predicting everything, pretty much.
And this is where, again, I try to not play, devil's advocate, but I try to look at all sides of the issue, So we get Illuminati card Trump, because they also have an Illuminati card for Ron Paul, which I never trusted, but he was very popular in the early 2000s or so. Remember that? Around 2010. Never trusted him personally. Him and Glenn Beck tried to co-opt the Tea Party movement, which was truly organic in America and grassroots. And there were people that were Americans, patriotic, that were just standing up. And next thing you know, here comes freaking Glenn Beck taking over these movements, having Tea Party conventions and stuff. And then he starts being a Looney Tune on Fox News and acting like a kook and saying stupid stuff. And that's what they do. And that's where even Alex Jones comes in. Oh, even, occasionally for fun, if I'm at the gym, I'll go to his website and play his new shows and listen, because I like Mike Adams. I like some of his guests. I even like some of Owen Schroyer's stuff, but even him, he can be a little bit another thing. But you know what? Again, it's like Jeff and I were saying earlier. I don't just take something and say it's all bad. I don't like it. Yeah. It's like I'm going to listen.
That's too simple, and they're going to give you some truths, and it's always more complicated. But nonetheless, you have to always have skepticism and critical thought. Yeah, I know it's all nuts, right? It's like it's
and guys, if you haven't seen, this is it. And also for the new people who don't know, there's a game called the Illuminati card game. It was created in '95, and it has basically all the big events that have happened in our world ever since has happened from this game. The man that created it, can't remember his name, but
Steve Jackson.
Steve Jackson, thank you. You can find him online. He did an interview with a comic book YouTube channel, and they were talking about how he created this game, and he admits that the government came and talked to him about another game he had, right? That was another issue. Pulled him aside, and it was after that game he created, and he jokes around, and that's when I signed off to the New World Order. He said something jokey like that. But for real, guys, no matter what he says, no matter what you think, look into this and you'll see, wow, they got
I
so
think
much.
I think in many ways too, they make these characters up, you know, like to have as a guise for the origin of these things. It's like the internet or Facebook, for instance, Zuckerberg, people like that. So it's not DARPA, you know, like people. Oh, it's Facebook. No, it's just some guy
Right.
that came up with it. Like, and they make movies and the whole story. And I think that is all part of the manipulation of the masses into buying into these things. So I would be skeptical of a lot of what is, you know, floated as the origin stories of these things. But you know, obviously intelligence agencies are very much involved. And yeah, we see the massive, I mean, Back to the Future itself is largely about 9/11. I mean, has some of the most outstanding, over the top, undeniable 9/11 clues that are right in your face. Nobody could possibly deny that all three, especially the first two Back to the Future movies, are basically about 9/11. And there's been some terrific work, terrific videos that have been made documenting everything dealing with it. It'll blow your mind. I mean, that alone could wake up a ton of people, because so many people watch these movies and then they don't realize what they're coding in these films. And Back to the Future, the first one, I think came out in 1985. So you're talking a good 16 years before 9/11 goes down. And then you know, we know the predictive programming goes back decades with 9/11, as it does for, I believe, this COVID. Did you know this, by the way? I don't know if you know this or you talked about it or you saw, but have you translated what COVID is into Hebrew?
I actually saw that from you, and then I wound up putting it in one of my big videos about the whole situation because it just fit in with everything else.
Yeah.
And even in there, I told people, I'm not the one that originally found this. I don't know who did, but it's making the rounds, and it did. And it's very important to understand. If you guys didn't know this, Jeff showed this originally. Again, I saw it on his channel, but what it is this.
Yep.
You take COVID from COVID-19, you get the Hebrew translation. Go ahead, Jeff. What is it?
Yeah, it's Kobe. So if you translate COVID into Hebrew, and then you take the characters in Hebrew and then you translate them back to English, you'll get Kobe. And so that's all very important, because that's why we call it the Kobe virus, because the whole massive Kobe Bryant death spectacle event kicked off the whole thing. This is the starting point. I think in many ways that was the signal. And then I talked massively about the snake symbolism with the black mamba, or marimba, pardon me, the black marimba, which is the snake, which is what they call him. Kobe Bryant himself had a gym that was, he had a 666 workout, and he's clearly a Satanist. I mean, he had so many different things that coded Satanism in his.
He did that short film with Robert Rodriguez where he threw a basketball and destroyed a helicopter.
Yeah. There's helicopter toys. There's even a Kobe Bryant action figure that has a helicopter on his head. Like,
okay, I love it. Yeah. Here, let's get really weird. Here's another one. So he had a whole ad campaign. I can't remember, it was like Strike First or something like that. But the ad campaign was, half of it was a shark, the other half was a shoe he was selling.
Yeah.
Right. Well, in that there's an animation that came out, of course, you know, this 3 years before his death. He dies in a helicopter crash. He comes out of the mouth of the helicopter holding two trophies, which essentially is the two pillars of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And there's even a Freemason square and compass scratched on the side of the helicopter. I showed people.
Yeah.
But behind all that, if you guys go back and look at the animation, the helicopter looks like a freaking shark, and he's coming out of the mouth of the shark where there's teeth on the top and the bottom. I tell you, and that's just the way my mind works. I connect that back to his tennis shoes. But you know what? In a bigger picture, we go like this. I wonder, are people like Kobe and Prince and David Bowie and some of these big people who are dying and whatnot, are they just going into hiding for what's about to come? Or are they really, you know, is it part of their contracts up? I'm never completely sure. But what do you think?
And I always say this, one of my quotes is, you know, you're never going to know if they're dead or if they're, you know, sacrificed in some satanic ritual on a beach in Tel Aviv or on the dark side of the moon, kind of thing, because you just won't know. You're never going to know the truth. And if you watch the telly and you think the telly's telling you the truth, well, right. So there's no point in getting emotionally invested in any of these characters, especially these triple A celebrities, like these major leaguer Freemasons, like Kobe Bryant, right? That obviously make the deal. The basketball's been this whole virus. The amount of basketball, like, did you show the Rudy Gobert thing? I don't know if you saw that.
No, but I'm not familiar with it. Before I do, have you seen this right here, though? This tweet that Trump retweeted a while back? Do you see it on the screen?
Yeah, I see it on screen.
It's probably hard to read, but I'll
Does
tell you
anybody
guys.
know what kofifi means or whatever?
No, it says, he says, who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me. And this was from like a few days ago. Puts out a picture of him playing a violin where it says, my next piece is called something like, I'm not sure where we're going from here, or who knows where we're going from here. Right, but it's weird that, you know, we're thinking of, right, Rome, as Rome's burning, we're playing the violin.
Fiddle, Red Nero fiddle. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's all their games, and we're seeing the whole thing unfold. And so with the basketball, I'll just mention this about Rudy Gobert. So so what happened was there was NBA had a news conference where they were discussing what they might have to do with the virus, right? They might have to play to empty stadiums and stuff like that, right? And one of the characters that was there was this basketball player called Rudy Gobert, and he mocked the whole germ phobia at the end of the whole press conference. And he got up and he was walking away, and then he went back and he put his hands all over the microphone and all over the table.
Oh, like, that guy.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And then, I mean, this is how insane it is. I mean, how stupid they've made people. He was the first basketball player, the first to get, allegedly, the Kobe virus. You cannot make that up. I mean, it's the chances of that are 0.000%, right? That's all theatrics, folks. And then since then, a whole slew of some of the most famous basketball players, including now Kevin Durant.
Well, yeah, I'm in Oklahoma, and it's my home state. Some people know that's where I'm at. It's not that I'm trying to hide it so much. I just don't talk about it a lot. But my mom, and I've mentioned this in shows in the past, it's kind of a weird anomaly in Oklahoma, is that a lot of the females out here are just as much, if not much more so, into sports than men. It's a whole thing. Like we have a huge family, lots of women in my family, lots of aunts I've got. Dude, they are all into sports, and they can tell you about statistics and who does this and who does that. And my mom filled my ear that night that they're supposed to have a Thunder game, Oklahoma City Thunder, I guess last week, and then just before they found out that one of those guys tested positive, and now it's all completely, and that's where the NBA shutdown came from, by the way, and all that.
And they were the first, so they were the first league, and then the NHL followed suit, and then all the March Madness, and these things are massive because, you know, forget about the celebrities and the multi hundred gazillionaire whatever basketball players, right? Because they make like gazillions of dollars. Think about the ticket stub guys. Think about the hot dog vendors. Think about the host and hostesses and then all the T-shirt guys, and then even the scalpers and everybody else. Like all the businesses, all the restaurants, the bars, all of them are now, right? Like the whole industry is stopped. And this is, you know, like this. I mean, they can do this to us all. They can shut everything down. They can freeze the economy. They can, you know, shut down our lives. And this is by and large what they've done. And it's just nuts. And that's why when you see all these celebrities coming forth, it's absolutely, I mean, to me, it's insulting how obvious it is that they're acting that they don't have anything. They're just playing the role. That's my opinion.
One of my subs just sent me I think it was an email. It was earlier today, where there's Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, of course, mother goddess, right?
Yeah.
But Wonder Woman is leading a whole bunch of Hollywood celebrities and singing a song about, you know, again, all of us coming together in love through all this crap. But yeah, totally. And I showed on my show the other night that Erykah Badu and what's her name is another famous singer. I can't remember the name, Ashanti, maybe one of these girls, but they both come out over the last week, and they're promoting these biohazard suits because of what's coming, right?
Yes.
Right. So this is what we're up against. And of course they want it. Of course, that's what the system wants.
Tyra Banks doing the whole doing the airport thing where she was like in a
Oh, I didn't
hazmat
see
suit.
that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
okay. Well,
yeah,
look at
yeah,
that. There you go.
yeah. It's just
And the
over and over.
oh, dude, and the other two girls, they're ladies that were doing that, they were both African or black ladies as well. So it makes me wonder. Now they got Tyra Banks. I wonder if this is part of maybe their Eastern Star group or something. Who
Yeah,
knows, man?
they're all playing the roles. Everybody makes the deal. You're not going to get your name in lights. You're not going to be known unless you make the deal. That's the bottom line. And all these celebrities have made the deal. They're useful idiots, I guess you could say, to a certain extent, for their psyops. They all make the symbols. They all do they all make the V's or the one eyes or the owl eyes or whatever. They're always doing this. And now they're partaking in this, the biggest of all. And again, with Tom Hanks, I mean, there's so many things. There's him giving his speech at one of the award shows where I have a cold and all that, and he went through
Tell
the
me
whole.
about tell me about that, because there's also the thing where Ricky Gervais, which he really like went after Hollywood, which was great in his speech. Again, we
Yeah,
don't know, but he was making fun of like Epstein, saying, "Come on, you guys know he's your friend." And the camera showed Tom Hanks, and he definitely had that look, like, "Oh boy, you need to shut your mouth,"
yeah,
right?
but that's it. All of it's theater. All of it's theater. Ricky Gervais is part of the theater.
Oh,
It's all to make you
absolutely,
reinvest into the
sure.
whole, into their realm, and to think that there are people amongst them that are actually for the people. Nobody amongst them is for any of us. There's no way. And if any of
Yeah.
them were, they would disappear quickly, because you would hear them say something and then that would be it. They'd be gone, right? And they would be gone for good, right? I mean, for real, sort of thing. Nobody is standing up for us. None of these celebrities are your friends. I mean, people will believe what they want to believe, but I'm telling you from my ample experience in covering this, I would never, ever, ever trust any of these people. And I believe
But
that it's all theatrics. So when people were telling me, yeah, Ricky Gervais came out and
yeah, he
slammed.
told the truth,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, no, that's all part of it, because they know that they have to, there has to be an ebb and flow. There has to be a left and right. There has to be a reaction to all the theatrics. It has to look like it's organic. It has to reinvest people in their theater, because if you're not watching their theater, then you're not under their mind control. And the reality is, all of us, every single one of us, if we really wanted to defeat this beast, would be to turn our back on it forever and never ever watch their movies, their shows, buy their toys, their go to their movies, like partake, go to the sports. Like I tell people all the
Well,
time, pro
Jeff,
sports.
I think
Yeah,
that's where it's going, Jeff, quickly. I think that that's where it's heading. And I think that, again, guys, that's where some of the good news, I think, is coming out of this. I mean, we really are seeing, I think we're going to see some justice. I really think, and this is my taking an angle on, you know, the godly point of view, if you will, but I really think that it's not all bad news. It's not all evil and wicked. We got a lot of, it's going to be a roller coaster ride right now, but a lot of good things I believe are coming out of it. And like we're talking about Hanks and some of these other people, all these people I believe are going to be exposed. That is apocalypse, everything revealed. I've been showing you all this for the last few years, the deconstruction of everything. That's what's happening. So I'm ready to see some good news. I'm ready to see some justice. I'm okay with Hollywood burning and falling apart.
yeah,
I applaud it.
yeah. That would be
Please destroy it.
yes.
Put it back in the hands of the indie filmmakers, even like myself. Give us a couple grand, we'll
Or
make a kick-ass movie.
how about all of us just embrace our own, make our own entertainment, make our own culture.
And that is
You know,
part of it, Jeff. Look, I think that's another part of what's happening as well right now, guys. Spend your time while you can. Let's on self-reflection, on self-improvement. Let's not let this beat us down. Let's be better. Let's get better. And if you got a voice and you feel like you got something to say and you're scared to do this and that, forget that. Step forward,
yeah,
create
step
your
forward.
YouTube, create your BitChute, whatever you want to do. But let's put your voice out there. It's time to fight. If you see the drag queens coming to your freaking library,
Yeah, stand up
go
to it.
over there. Yeah,
Yeah,
stand up.
stand
Don't
up
gotta
to
be
it.
mean. Don't gotta be hateful. Don't gotta be violent. Stand up. Make your voice known, guys. I really think that's where we're entering. That's why I feel it's a time of miracles as well. We're going to see a lot of good things come out of humanity as well, guys. So let's not just focus too much on the doom and gloom and it's evil and it's over. That stuff's happening. Unfortunately, it's what it is. But this is our time. This is what's supposed to happen. I believe that. We see how wicked I've been showing you, Jeff's been showing you for years, how wicked America and the world is, Canada, everything else. Guys, it's time. We're watching it all fall apart. Now, we know that the New World Order rises from the ashes. We understand this. Hey, you know what? Let's not worry about it. We're still going to be together. We're still not going to be taking the mark. There'll still be a huge community of us. So let's, stay cool, right? Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
And support one another and stand up and don't fight with people, but talk with people and try to engage people and because a lot of people, it's going to be very difficult to deal with these topics and try to convince, or you shouldn't try to convince people, but you want to try to maybe educate people on these things. But ultimately, think of how much all of this is just their manifestations, and it's like, just picture yourself and your family and your loved ones away from this, like living on in a cottage or something, in the mountains or by the ocean or something like that, and just no television, no nothing, right? None of this would affect you. I mean, it would eventually, because these things come to your door, the mandatory vaccines and all that crap, the drones all of a sudden start playing out. So I'm not saying that you can fully escape it, but I'm saying that in many ways, it's because we're watching all their machinations that it has this impact on us. If all of humanity just turned its back on it, then it wouldn't have the power that it has. And it's because we are all, and to a certain extent, me and KJ, but that's what we do. I mean, we're, unfortunately, it goes with the territory. This is what we do. We expose this stuff, and it takes a toll. But at the same time, we have to balance, like KJ knows this, I know this, that you have to, have those off time and take days off, weeks off if necessary, and recoup, get out in nature, get fresh air. It's still beautiful. We have a beautiful world, right? And we got the summer coming up. I mean, I'm assuming most people that are listening are in the northern hemisphere. So like where I am, we're finally coming out and it's starting the big thaw.
Do you get 4 seasons where you are?
Oh yeah, big time.
All right, cool, man. It's good to hear. I'm the same way. Like, we're in our spring now, so we're having 60s and 70s, and it's kind of nice.
Lovely.
Right, yeah. I love it. So, where I'm at, it's great. And even I've hated the summer so much out here that I've learned to change the way I view it, because I was miserable because it gets so hot and humid. But now it's like, I don't want to live miserable. So now every summer, started last summer, I try to think of all the good stuff. I can go to the pool, I can get in the sun, I can ride my bike, So even though you're hot and sweaty, whatever, man, just enjoy it, So yeah, I'm same thing, man. Again, I don't want to. It's part of what we do, me and you, our work, is being watchmen in a sense and showing people what's happening and warning people. But yeah, like you said, as well as I do, man. I mean, I know you've probably dealt with a lot of personal issues, maybe with this stuff, emotional things, psychological. So do I. It's not easy. We have to continue because there's not many of us left. But just like you, man, I'm sure you take a lot of breaks. You get out in the country, you take a walk, right? You enjoy your life the best you can.
You got to know, when to take a break. You have to know when to pull yourself away. And that goes for everyone listening. I mean, again, you find yourself getting anxious and you find yourself, just freaking out because it's overwhelming what's going on. It's overwhelming. We're all seeing this whole, martial law and the complete collapse of the economy, and it's very worrisome. But at the end of the day, if you got your health, that's the most important thing. And, we'll overcome. I mean, everyone together, what we could all do is just support one another and do the best that we can to try to plant these seeds, like KJ and I have been doing for a long time now, trying to just wake people up, to get people to see things differently, share, KJ does a terrific job in producing the type of material that's very easy to share with people, right? It's not like Alex Jones, somebody shouting at somebody or using all kinds of profanity and stuff like that. So these are opportunities for all of us to just, we're all in it together, and we can all help. We can all lift part of the load and take it a little bit further and then pass those batons off to the next generation, sort of thing. So, there, and as KJ says, there will be good that comes out of this. Like it may be that they just go too far, and then it backfires, and then a
Mhm.
gazillion people will wake up because they're like, oh my God, you remember what they did with that? We'll never let that happen again. I mean, that's what I hope with this, that people realize that, you know, that famous quote from Benjamin Franklin, and it really doesn't matter who said it, right, and who they attribute it to, but those who sacrifice their liberty for security deserve neither, sort of thing, right? I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I'm
You're
saying,
right.
essentially.
Yeah,
Right?
if and not only that, even if we forget our history, we're doomed to repeat it, and we're seeing that as well. And
Exactly.
but it's not that we all forgot; it's that the system is forcing that upon us. You know,
Yeah,
this is what
exactly.
it's like another Napoleon, another Hitler. You know, it's another Antichrist type situation, and it's what do you think? Just kind of, and again, we're not predictors of the future, guys, but you know, we try to draw connections with all the threads. What are your feelings, though, just kind of overall, Jeff, like looking at it with what's happening, taking everything into consideration? Do you think that this is it? Like we're never coming out of this? Or do you think that this might be something that passes and then there'll be another one that comes after? I mean, what's kind of your vibe on all this?
Yeah, I don't know, and like last night when I was doing the show with TMF, we were kind of saying it seemed to us like this is it, like they have decided to go and do the full thing. But again, it's, you know, it's one thing to implement martial law here or there and for temporary periods, but there will be a backfire if they try to push it too far, and there's too many people that are accustomed to the liberties that they have, that there could be a strong resistance to this. So it might be that they try, like they put through the Patriot Act, they put through maybe the Earn It Act and a few other things. They impose, say, and one of the things that I'm extremely concerned about is the mandatory vaccinations, which is something I spent a lot of time showing, especially with what's happened in Europe and all the countries in Europe, one after another: Italy, Spain, Germany, France.
Tell us about that, the mandatory vaccinations. You say it's already happening in these
Oh yeah,
countries?
yeah, absolutely. That's one of the major objectives, I believe, and I believe too. Like people will say, you know, like Jeff's here, are you an anti-vaxxer? And I'm like, you know, it's not the principle of a vaccine that I'm against. It's that I have no idea what's in them, and I have every reason to be skeptical, considering the corporations and the governments that are involved, and the
Well,
whole.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Jeff. I want to add this with that, and I showed the folks this the other night that Bill Gates is stepping down from Microsoft and his other foundation to fully focus on his. Well, he calls them his philanthropic,
yeah,
whatever. But
philanthropic. Yeah.
yeah, we know, and I showed the folks as well an article from 2003 where Bill Gates was interviewed and talking about his father used to be the
Yeah,
president of Planned
Planned Parenthood.
Parenthood.
It's
Come on,
nuts.
guys, right?
Bill Gates is one of the biggest eugenicists in the world, and this is, yeah, I think it's a medicinal martial law. They want the universal biometric IDs. There's this whole push. This is all kind of being
Yep.
slid under. You know, it's like sliding it under the table, sort of thing, and making these things happen while everyone's scared of the big bad virus. Meanwhile, they've got all these things that they're accomplishing. So it's probable. What I'll say is this: is that probably it will pass eventually. Like this is going to be a hard spring and summer, and going by the language and by what's happened in Italy and Spain and China and all that, we're probably into a few months of real pain, and then they'll ease. But what they achieve in those few months is going to be critical. So if it's mandatory vaccines, which again, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, all these countries are passing mandatory vaccines right now, or they've been doing it over the past year or so, and
Wow.
it's very disturbing. And it starts with the kids. So you cannot, like in Germany, and they did this just last November or something like that. The kids cannot go to school unless they have their vaccines. Now, with this biometric ID system that they're going to bring in, and I talked about this with the planes. Like for instance, air travel. Already, the travel corporations, or the airline corporations, are saying that they're going to implement a mandatory vaccine sort of policy. Well, how is that going to work? And people are saying, like, you know, there's going to be some sort of, like you said, like a tattoo or something on the skin, like a kind of like an RFID chip, but a much more modern, more advanced sort of identification system that will be embedded in your a form of transhumanism sort of thing that they will force us all to have. Have you seen the movie Contagion?
Long time ago. That's Dustin Hoffman, right?
No, you're thinking Outbreak. Contagion is with
remind us.
Yeah, the Contagion is what's playing out right now in many ways, minus the actual sort of pandemic, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to say I know 100%.
Right? Who knows, man? Go ahead though.
Yeah. So Contagion is from it's Steven Soderbergh, and it's from 2011 or 2012, and it's a movie that came out, and it's about the exact same thing that's happening now, where it was a Chinese flu, and it came from a bat, just like this story, bat to a pig, just like this story, bat to a pig, to a market, to somebody, and then Gwyneth Paltrow was the person who was in Asia and shook the hands of the chef who butchered the pig. And then she got sick. She took the plane, and she was sick on the plane. And they show how the virus spreads through the plane, and then it becomes a global pandemic. And so you see a complete breakdown of society. You see martial law being implemented. You see people freaking, riots on the streets, all these different things happening. And the NSA are depicted as heroes, or at least not the NSA. I'm sorry. The what's it called there? The CDC.
Right.
Centers of Disease and Prevention, right? They're depicted. They have what's her name there? The British actress from Titanic there.
Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Hudson or Kate.
No,
something?
Yeah, something, right? Yeah, somebody.
I can't remember. Yeah.
But yeah, you know who I'm talking about. They're depicted as tireless sort of public servants who will stop at nothing to try, and she even injects herself with the untested sort of vaccine to be the guinea pig so she could save humanity, sort of thing. And so in the end, many people die, millions die around the world, sort of thing, and there's a complete chaos, there's a complete breakdown. There's a conspiracy theorist who I say is Jordan Sather, basically, that they modeled the Jordan Sather character off the Jude Law. So Jude Law plays a conspiracy theorist who puts out false information that leads to people dying. Because some people get skeptical about the vaccinations. They fear the vaccinations more than the outbreak. And then there's all this panic and people are dying. They show people in the movie going to grocers and getting in riots and fights and killing each other, people pulling out guns. They show complete societal breakdown, martial law. And then in the end, when they finally get the vaccination, they show that everyone who gets the vaccination gets a bracelet that identifies them, like it's a permanent bracelet sort of thing. So I believe that Contagion is all about what's happening now, that the movie was made for this specifically. In fact, if anybody that's skeptical about this, that can just do a Google search for the movie Contagion, you can check the news tab. You'll see hundreds of articles that have said this is the movie, and the movie's gone viral. It's #1 on Netflix. It's trending everywhere. Everyone's watching it. And that's because that's your programming. They made that movie so that you fear the big bad virus when it comes. This is how your predictive programming works. This is how your social engineering works. So I think in many ways, Contagion is an important movie for people to see, not because you want to fear the virus, but because you want to see how Hollywood engineers mind control the masses into making them fear the outbreak. And if you look back and you just think, and whether you play video games or you watch movies or you watch The Walking Dead or all these television shows, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of movies, video games. There are things like Pandemic and all these board games and video games and iOS games and stuff like that have all been coming out steady stream over the past decade or so, that have set the narrative for this and created this absolute fear of the invisible enemy. So whether it's The Walking Dead, say for instance, or it's World War Z, or it's Contagion, or umpteen virus movies that are out there, and all the video games to accompany it, they have been socially engineering us all into being paranoid about viruses.
Well, yeah, that, and it also falls into all the major zombie programming we've been under for the last 7 years, right? all this zombie programming, and you and I have been discussing that ever since it started.
Did you know that this is? I'll say that I discovered this because I did it all on my own, but maybe somebody else had discovered it before me, but I certainly didn't know. When I first started covering coronavirus, I put it into the anagram. There's only one word that you can make from coronavirus. Do you know what that is?
I saw somebody in chat mentioning this. It's an anagram for something. Go ahead and tell us.
Carnivorous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the only word that you can make as an anagram from coronavirus is carnivorous.
Wow, so, think about that, guys. That's huge.
Yeah, so, the zombie stuff is not accidental. It's not incidental. It's not coincidental. None of these things, in my belief, are coincidental. I believe that this social engineering, like I talked about one of the video games made by this company, Endemic, which is a pandemic game, which became the #1 game on the iOS, on the iPhones and all that. The guy that made it, I mean, the objective of the game is to wipe out the world's population by making these viruses and destroying all of humanity. I mean, who makes a game like that? Well, there's this thing called Endemic, starts with an Ndemic, Endemic Games, and the guy who created the game, who's not a scientist or anything, he's just a game developer, was invited to speak at I showed all this too. He's invited to speak at the CDC, give lectures at the CDC. So what I've been saying is that they have for years been programming all of us into this absolute terror of outbreaks, and that this is what it's all about. It's all about what's happening right now. It was all for this. All your zombie movies, your Walking Dead, your Contagion, Outbreak, all these movies that they've come out with, all these video games, The Last of Us, freaking Metro, there's almost every video game deals with apocalyptic themes, right? And it's almost all centered around viral outbreaks. So I strongly believe this, folks, and I've been trying to tell, and this is not like I just was saying this since this whole thing started. I've been saying this for years. When in 2014, I was, at my peak on Free Radio Revolution, when I was exposing the Ebola, all right, so the whole Ebola saga, which I did I think 65 videos on or something like that, right? I did a ton of work.
You showed a lot of fake news footage surrounding that. I remember that.
Yeah. I'm telling folks here, I don't want you to take my word for it, and you never should. You should always do your own work. But I'm telling you, I believe that the Ebola saga was completely staged, the entire thing. And I'm not just saying what happened in United States and Thomas Sarah Duncan and all these Nina Pham and all these characters that they use, which were crisis actors, clear in the green programming, but also in Africa, they staged everything. And so I believe that we have been engineered into this point so that we would accept what they're doing right now to all of humanity, which is the martial law, mandatory vaccines, right? Forced quarantine, all these things, because we have the fear. We have learned to fear the invisible enemy, the virus. So that's why I have devoted so much of my time over the the past few months to trying to I wouldn't say expose is the proper word, but try to warn people about how this all works. And I'm extremely concerned because I think that so many different things can be accomplished through this. And like I was doing the show with TMF last night, and we were really very, very concerned because we were showing so many different things that they're trying to do, and how insidious it all is. Like how, when you get you see what we showed with Tom Cruise and the Corona typewriters and, Madonna and all the horrible sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, it's all a big show kind of thing with the celebrities, and they're destroying our rights. I mean, they are implementing martial law. They're forced quarantining. I mean, we showed today on your show there, the tanks in the streets of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
How far is this from happening. And they've done this stuff before. We mentioned Jade Helm, Maple Resolve. What about the Boston bombing? Do you remember that, KJ?
Oh, they even put Tazmarov or whatever his name was on the cover of the Rolling Stone.
Yes,
I mean, I
the
couldn't
Joker.
believe that. Yeah, the Joker.
And they always have a Joker. He was a Joker. And KJ, the folks that might be younger, maybe weren't around at the time or didn't quite see it, or maybe you were in Boston and you did see it, but they imposed martial law in Boston, and they locked down the city for about a week. And they were going down the street with tanks. Well, not tanks, but like police vehicles, armored vehicles. And they were pointing machine guns at people's windows. So like old ladies would look out the window and they'd have a machine gun pointed at them, sort of thing. And they were breaking into people's homes. They did the same thing up here in Canada with the Moncton shooting, where and it was all coded. It was all a giant pyramid area that they cordoned off. And there was another totally staged event involved with the RCMP, where allegedly 3 RCMP officers were shot dead by this guy who went crazy and just decided to shoot everybody. And I covered that massively and was targeted by Canadian authorities because of that. But they did the exact same thing in Canada, what they did in Boston, right around the same time too. It was only like a few months after or before the whole Boston thing went down. So they have been testing these things out over and over again, where they, like we said with Jade Helm, everyone was freaking out of Jade Helm because it was the American military doing military operations in regular, American sort of towns and, cities and stuff like that, where they were doing these exercises. Like, why are they training in American cities to occupy towns and stuff like that in cities and break down people's doors and all that? And there was massive conspiracies. You probably remember the Walmart, and the FEMA camps, and people were suggesting.
Sure. I was just talking to my stepsister about that earlier. She called earlier today and was asking me, she's like, so is this the end of the world? And asking me about how it's all going to look. And I brought that Walmart stuff up. I was like, Sam Walton, there's a lot of interesting things with him. And look at the way these Walmarts are built. They can clear them out. They showed us this Jade Helm within less than 24 hours, and it's a perfect holding center. Plus, and this isn't even conspiracy, they've showed that there's tunnels connecting many of these throughout the entire country. Yep. So it's all perfectly, and they are working with FEMA openly. That's no lie. They've shown that.
Canadian Emergencies Act that Trudeau and co are talking about invoking, and they would only need a skeleton staff because they've disbanded Parliament because of the COVID virus, right? So they would only need a skeleton staff of MPs and senators, like 15 and 20 or something like that, right? Like just a small elect group that could come in and pass this under the guise of, it's a virus, we can't call in a session to do this. So they can actually do this, and that would be a martial law. It would be martial law in Canada, and the Prime Minister could force quarantine anybody. They could seize people's private property. They could lock people up. There's all these different things they can do, and they're actually saying that they're going to do this, or that they're seriously discussing it right now, which means, and I'm saying this to folks, I don't want you to panic or freak out because that doesn't help anything. But I do believe you are going to see martial law here in North America, and it could be widespread, or it could be certain regions, or it could be the whole continent at a point if they escalate the situation and they make people panic. Right. And none of us really know what's going on. I mean, a lot of the hospitals, the people, the staffs are saying there's no patients, nobody's coming in, and then the television tells you, there's hundreds of people dying or something like that. Right. So, it's this fear that leads to the complete takeover of everything. Fear leads to totalitarianism. This is how, Mao and, every Stalin and every dictator managed to seize control. They put the fear into everybody, and then through the fear, people give up their rights, give up their, everything basically, and put their trust in the state.
Well, on that note, what would you, I know it's hard to say, your advice, but I mean, just from your knowledge and what you see and what you think, what's your feeling? Tell the people, because I know it's hard to say. We already asked, like, where this is going to go. But what's your advice, if any, to the folks for right now, for what's going on? Because none of us can predict where this is going to go for sure. But what do you think?
Okay, so I would say, uh, if you can, talk to your neighbors first and foremost, because that's this whole physical breakdown and distrust. And I didn't mention that before when I was doing the whole touching thing, but another thing. Okay, I'll mention this briefly because I think it's important. We talked in length about this last night on my show. Survivor, you know the show Survivor, right?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So what's Survivor about, right? You put, say, 20 people on an island, and they all, or 20, 30, whatever, how many it is, and they all have to form little groups, and then they all have to conspire against each other, and then eventually only one person can get off, right? Only one person can win. Now, that's the Hunger Games, that's the Battle Royale, that's Fortnite, that's PUBG, that's the new game Warzone from Call of Duty, which they're magnanimously giving to everybody for free in the quarantine thing.
Oh,
What
I heard
I'm,
about that. Right. That's
yeah.
so crazy. And something to do with porn, right? They're going to try to give people free porn
Yes,
access or
yes, we
something.
talked about that too, where Pornhub is coming forth and giving free porn to Italians and Spanish
God,
people, and
that is
it's all
so.
the left hideous media saying it's the greatest thing ever, and they're cheerleading it on. Okay,
Yep.
so what I'm saying about the Survivor mentality is how they've been programming people, whether it's The Bachelor, Survivor, Hunger Games, PUBG, Fortnite, all this. Everyone's being programmed into being sociopaths, where it's like me, myself, and I, right? And so this works, and you see it manifest in all the movies, right? And they've made a lot of movies and a lot of shows about this theme. So what they've been doing is they've been breaking down our communities, making everybody distrust each other, and they want everybody to eat each other basically in the apocalypse. So what they don't want us to trust each other, and they don't want us to have communities, and they don't want us to be able to come together to overcome what's been coming. They want us to distrust each other. So this is why I say one of the solutions to what's going on is don't fear contact. Don't stop touching, or I mean, like, I'm not going to tell you because I don't know 100% whether or not there's any contagion or anything like that. But I would say that they don't want you to communicate or touch or come near to anybody, because then you'll distrust people and you'll think that maybe they have the pandemic. And then if things break down, then everybody will just shoot each other or eat each other or whatever, right? And there'll just be chaos. And that's what their whole motto is: order out of chaos, 33, you know, the New World Order, it's the Phoenix and all that, what we've been talking about. So it's important for people not to do what they want you to do, which is to freak out, and, distrust everybody and hoard everything. And, you already see that manifest with the fist fights or the toilet paper and all that nonsense, right? Like, these
Yeah.
gigantic people
Wine
that are,
bottle fights. I saw
yeah,
that
yeah,
one the
yeah.
other night.
And that's what they've engineered. So it's very important for people not to behave in that manner, and to talk with their neighbors, talk with your local authorities, your sheriffs, your county, your deputies, whatever, even your ombudsman or your local politicians, and try to get them to question what's going on, and try to make sure that their concern and priority is the people, their own people, and that they're actually serving their own people. So that if this stuff does unfold and we do have martial law, that people don't lose their SHIT and start shooting each other or eating each other or anything like that, right? So I don't know. It could fade away. It could ebb, and it could peak, and then it could die down. At some point, it's going to peak, and at some point, they're going to likely. But it's what they will achieve in that time. If we get all the mandatory vaccinations, the surveillance state, the drones becoming commonplace, the biometric ID, right? Mandatory vaccines everywhere, right? Then they've achieved all these things that they wanted to achieve. Police state, for instance.
Well, if or when they do the mandatory vaccines, that's it, guys. That right there is that's the line that can't be crossed, because, and again, that's even beyond.
It's coming, though.
It is coming, and that's beyond just those of us that believe in the Bible and Revelation. It's beyond that. Even if you don't even believe in God and Jesus and all that stuff, you don't want to give up your humanity to this system. It's going to lead you nowhere. This is bad stuff. You don't want the government, any other entity out there, having something inside of you, connected to you. You're connecting you to the internet. I mean, this is bad. So anyway, if that happens, then it's time to keep in mind millions of us, thousands of them, and we're going to have a revolution, guys. That's what's up. It's going to be time. We've been nice up to now. We've made our videos. We tried to, give our voice on things. At that point, it's over. Then it's going to have to be violent, unfortunately. But
that's why it's imperative for people to have communities and communicate, militias and things like that. I mean, the whole what is it? The Second Amendment, right? It's really about militias, right? It's really about being able to bond together with fellow community members and stand up to the tyranny of the government. So at some point we might be tested, and hopefully, and I'm always knocking on wood these days, I'm hoping none of this really manifests. I hope that we don't see any of it happen. I really do, KJ. I mean, there's no way. It's not good for me. All that's happening. It's not good for you. It's not good for any of us, right? It's not what we want. We don't want this, but we have to be honest in how it's all unfolding. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say to folks, like, I don't want you to freak out, but look what's going on in Italy. Look what's going on in Spain. Look what's going on in China, and look at the rumblings here and how they're setting it up. I mean, the like we just showed before, where they're letting prisoners out of the prison. They're suspending regular police services. I mean, they're creating purge-like conditions. And then they're telling people, and we showed this, where they're suspending weapon sales, and Walmart stopping selling ammunition and stuff like that, and people are flocking to the gun stores. Well, what do you expect people to do? There's going to be no law and order. You're letting all the criminals out of the prison. Pretty soon they'll let the lunatics out of the asylum, and then you have what's Batman and the Joker, right? These
total nihilism, right? The Purge,
the Purge, yeah.
Yeah, so, but that's where, and then I'll say, and thank you, and we'll start wrapping it up out there, guys. Absolutely. But and on that note, as I said earlier in the show, from more like my kind of Christian spiritual, if you will, perspective, but I do see this as kind of like Egypt in the Bible, when Egypt was worshiping the fallen angels, the false gods. God shook them, sent them plagues, all kinds of destruction. At the end, they fell to their knees and they returned back to the Lord God, right? This is what happens. We've seen this time and time before. So I feel like what's happening now, obviously, it's going to be a big shaking. Is this it? I'm not totally sure. What's Trump's total role in this? I don't know. I showed you the picture earlier with him doing the 1133. He's aware of that system, okay? I know this. Like, to me, it's obvious. He knows about that system. How deep he is in it, this and that, I don't know. I'm not looking for a worldly hero. That's my thing. And that's, again, I focus on the Lord, and that's it, and it's so confusing what's happening. It's crazy. We're all doing the best we can to piece it together. Let's take it day by day. As Jeff says, as I say, let's not live in fear. Let's not freak out. I believe it's a test of everybody right now. Some will be tested harder than others. I've told y'all for years, I see what's happening in this world, and everything I've shown you is a dividing the wheat and the tares, the sheep and the goats. I literally feel that's what we're seeing right now, also in a physical manifestation, because people are going to be shook. And now we're going to see there will be people that do dumb stuff and go get violent and get their asses killed or beat. That stuff's going to happen. I believe that. But that's where we're seeing a shaking up. Who's going to be, I don't want to just say good, sure, good, but who's going to follow Christ? Who's going to be with God? Who's going to do the right thing? And who's going to be an animal? Who's going to let this stuff drive them nuts? Who's going to create violence and chaos? We're about to see. If you don't have preps or anything, I hope you'll work on that. If you don't have any kind of weapons or protection, I hope you'll work on that as well. Again, don't be in fear if you don't have the money. Most of us are paycheck to paycheck. Pray about this and put it into action, and you'll find a way. I promise. Like, you'll be okay. We'll figure this stuff out. We'll be together. Jeff and I are going to keep on doing our own shows, doing shows together. Because now it feels like, I feel like I need to do more shows now because so many people are home.
Yeah.
And we need to just have shows to keep the community alive and give people an opportunity, right? To hang out.
Absolutely.
So we'll work on that. But all right, man. Well, hey, I guess on that note, if y'all don't mind, I always like to leave things in a prayer. Jeff, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. By all means.
Great, guys. I'll just throw it out there. Say, Heavenly Father, thanks once again, man, for the fact that we have this wonderful place to hang out still, even though, of course, we know what's happening to this site. But regardless, you've provided us a great place to meet up and hang out. everything we're looking at, Father, help us to keep it in the right perspective. Help us not to be fear mongers. Help us not to freak out. Help us to stay in peace of mind, which you've provided for us, and to take all this stuff in with no fear, but to be faithful watch people, to keep an eye on things and to have each other's backs and be good and righteous at the end of the day, Father. Thank you, and I love you. And thank you so much for Jeff, my friendship with Jeff, and for this wonderful audience. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Jeff, dude, I love you, man. Thank you for being here. We'll do it again very soon, okay?
Absolutely,
I mean,
brother. Love you too. And much love to all the audience out there. And hey, people stay strong. And, you know, we've got a community here sort of thing. So, you know, this is, we're strong. We can make it through this.
Yes, sir, man. Well, thanks, guys. Hey, thank you all so much. To the moderators, thanks so much. Big shout out to my Patreon, PayPal supporters. Same with Jeff, guys. I'll let Jeff tell you where you can find him. Jeff's been a really strong voice for many years, and we all need your support now. Jeff, how can they support you and find your work?
Well, yeah, you can support me if you want to support me on Patreon at, well, I'm at www.patreon.com/New World Agenda. My main channel on YouTube, which I'm gonna put a message there right now, is Jeff Censored. So you come and check out my work and get us, you know, give me a sub if you like what you hear. And I have a few other channels as well, but that's the main channel. There's Supreme Lord Commander, there's Jeff Censored Live, and there's Jeff C Live. I have a lot of channels because I'm always being shut down. Yeah, I've been, you know, I've just recently started with D Live, and I also upload on BitChute at New World Agenda. So we have a, you know, that's the reality of doing this work. Is
Yeah,
we jump around a lot, but
you have to.
Yeah,
You gotta
everyone's more than welcome to come and check out. And I do live shows at least 3-4 days a week, sometimes 5-6 days a week. You know, so. We're you know, I want to make sure, like I always try to see when KJ's going, because I don't want to go at the same time, sort of thing. So
thanks, man.
But yeah, thank you so much, KJ, for having me on. Always a blast to you know, you're one of the old crew and we go way back. So
yeah, man, you're welcome, and thank you. It's always a pleasure with you. As I said, man, we'll definitely do it again. And guys out there, again, for yourselves, you know, I have to mention my sponsor. My sponsor is my Patriot Supply. I mean, it's a good deal. You know, I know things are crazy. I don't want to try to sell you something in fear, but they've been my sponsor for a year. So if you're interested, you can get 2 weeks supply of food for under $100 and a month supply for under $200. Click the link below if you'd like. If not, take $50 to the Dollar General. Get you a bunch of beans and rice. Just try to have a little something set up. All right, just in case, okay? All right, man. Jeff, awesome. I love you. Guys, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you all later. Take care. Thanks, mods.
bye-bye.
All right, bye. And